Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the ultimate Cleveland sports show, along with G. Bush and Tyvis Powell. I'm Adam the Bull, and before we get into anything, Mike, we have a title sponsor today. Tell us who it is.
We do. Today's show is brought to us by Epicor. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions, Epicor will equip you with the right tools to move forward. Discover your success at easywithepicor.com.
Fellas, how we doing today?
Well, you know, we're in the building.
Yeah.
How is it that I drive the furthest?
Yeah.
And I was here first.
That is true. See, I will tell you, I mean, you beat me here by 8 seconds.
That's not the point.
But
You just not get back on your schedule. You used to be first all the
now,
time.
yeah. G. Bush is always last minute, but to be fair to him, so is Jason and so is Jay. Jay is really last minute.
Jason is not
Hey,
last minute. He's usually here 15 minutes.
I don't even be late no more, really. Like, I be on time, low key. Like, I'll be on late.
More people have been coming in earlier.
Yeah, like, I don't even be missing like
I used to be, besides maybe Tyvis, I was always the earliest here.
Right.
Why are you getting so late today?
Well, because I'm just losing my mind. I'm working on the rosters for my for our fall baseball league, and I've been spending an insane amount of hours working on that.
the one league you in now is done?
So we got a little league. It's not done yet. This is the last week, and then we have the playoffs for 2 weeks. But then we do a fall league that starts in the summer.
And that's the one you won the championship.
That's the one we won the championship. So, but we've had an influx of new kids, and so we've expanded the league. And we brought all the new kids in for a workout over the weekend because we had to grade them. You got to grade the kids so the teams are fair.
Yeah.
And so now I've been working on the rosters to make them as fair, because I'm obsessed with making the rosters as fair as possible.
Yeah, you don't want nobody coming back to you be like, oh, you hosed us. Right. You got us in the end. You gave us the two guys you put in an outfield.
So exactly.
You the commissioner of the league?
I'm the commissioner, and, you know, I coach a team. Last year I coached 2 teams, the older kids and the younger kids. This year I'm just coaching the older kids. But so I obviously can't take an unfair advantage of my team. Plus, we allow the kids to request a player to play with, and we try to honor that request, and so that makes it even trickier.
Yeah.
I honored like 95% of the requests. I couldn't do it for every single kid. It was just impossible.
Man, Bull, you mentioned it.
I spent so many hours on Little League football. It's crazy.
We used to have a Little League. Shout out to the Canton Mighty Mite League. We used to have, when I was younger, we used to have sides of our town, the Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, and Southwest, right?
Yeah.
And we had
North side?
I played for the Royals, right?
Yeah.
So
what side was that?
I played, but I was the first free agent.
Oh.
I lived on the Northwest, but I played in the Northeast. I used my grandma's address.
Oh.
See, you can't do that because, see, back when you was doing that, it was this whole East Coast versus West Coast thing.
It was.
It's an interesting development right there.
So you like a Tupac.
One of my arch nemesis was Mike Doss. He played for the Yankees. I played for the Royals. He used to come up to me and terrorize me. He used to chase people with dead animals. Like Mike Doss.
How come this didn't get brought up at the?
It's a whole lot of joints, right? And he would come up and he would be real nice to my mom. He'd be like, "Hey, Mrs. Bush," and she's like, "Hey, Mike, well, you about to strike out 4 times today, dear, and your face is looking fatter than ever."
Oh man!
Like, this dude was a terror. He was a terror.
You know what's crazy? He ain't changed.
No, he has not.
He's still the same.
He's still a terror. Now he just has you. But the cool part about that was we used to have this guy named Zeke. He used to run the Yankees, and the Yankees was the Yankees there. The Yankees had different uniforms. They had pinstripes.
Yeah.
We had regular T-shirts.
But
the cool thing about this was we had infrastructure like y'all had. Like there was a bunch of teams. There was the small kids that would play on Saturday.
Yeah.
Then the minors would play. Then the majors would play, and people would stick around. We had games under the lights. It was just, and it all died. There is not one baseball league.
That sucks.
But what you're doing is a great job, because when you be talking about this, it reminds me of the heyday that we used to have, because it's something when adults think it's important. Like when adults think it's important,
I
and
want
you got
these kids to have a good
all-stars,
experience.
It's a great experience,
Yeah.
man. So shout out to you for doing that because that really made a lot of people's childhood back then.
What I heard out of this whole story was that y'all was like the cucumbers.
You were the cucumbers?
Y'all had crappy T-shirts, but everybody else had pinstripes and all this other
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Or was it only the Yankees that had the pin?
The Yankees were sponsored by Dairy Queen.
Yeah. Well, the
Like,
I feel like when I, you know, it's
But wait a second. But
this is facts.
no, but the team that played the Cucumbers for the championship, that was the only team that had the fancy uniforms. They were like the Yankees. Mm-hmm. The other teams they played, I think, had crappy uniforms.
He
the
literally
Cucumbers.
went on the rant. He said, "Wow, the Boo-Hoos and the Watas got great uniforms,
Man.
and we
Oh, it
got
was
crappy
just that?
T-shirts."
And the crazy thing about the Yankees was that they had a whole infrastructure. They had like 6-7 assistants.
Oh, yeah.
They had dudes playing. They had first base coach, third base coach. They had a bat boy, and they had
It's
cats
so-
taking
got all that
score.
stuff.
But they had cats taking score, and they had all of their little managers and pitching coaches on the top of the steps like this.
We keep the score. There's now an app, right?
that's
it's called
wild.
Game Changer.
That's wild.
Look at this.
Right?
This wild.
Here's
I like this.
And look at this. It has the schedule. This is our schedule.
Man.
This is unbelievable.
Here we go.
But would you say Game Changer's been a
game changer?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you got, and then you could do, so like for our team,
You have stats
I could bring up
online?
the stats, yeah.
You know what? I wish they had this back when I played
Right?
Community League. But
You can see Aaron's
That's beautiful.
second on the team at
That's-
5'14".
Hey, listen, I love it. Shout out to this guy named Kit Matthews.
y'all got somebody that takes stats, huh?
Look at the RBIs list on my team.
That's
Look
crazy.
where Aaron is on this.
That's
Can you show this?
crazy.
Your kid's too small.
He has
Zoom.
22. Next has 8.
Yeah.
He's upstairs. Listen,
Y'all
that's
got
nice.
somebody that takes stats?
Yeah, one of my assistant coaches does the play-by-play, pitch by pitch on the app. Sometimes I do it if he's not there.
Man.
We had announcers.
Yeah, no, we didn't have.
We-
We don't
we-
have.
we
Well,
had-
we have a PA announcer.
Yeah,
Yes,
we had an announcers like
That's cool. And there's no league.
Listen,
it's zero. There's nothing.
I think you and I should work together to bring back Little League in the city of Cleveland. We need to work together.
What you
on
talking
this.
about right
That's
now?
crazy.
When you was talking about
That's a shame.
uniforms and sponsors, it reminded me of playing Muni League football in Cleveland. I played for the Cleveland Warriors. Shout out to the Cleveland
I'm
Warriors.
sure there's still Muni League football. in
It better
Cleveland.
be. But we never had a sponsor though, so
Yeah.
like it was all like we had to hustle our own way and stuff. And then you seen other teams with great uniforms and stuff.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, "This is some BS, man."
Back then, Bull, like we had, like at Akron, you had the tires and factories was up. And
This is Canton, not Cleveland. That's right.
But
Yeah.
but there was different companies like the Timken Company, Hoover's, Debo, just different bigger manufacturing companies
Yeah.
used to sponsor a lot of these city
That's all
leagues.
gone, yeah.
And when them jobs went overseas and them plants shut down, that changed everything. Like there was a lot of people that was really middle class, like and a lot of those people worked in those factories, and that's where the money was coming from. So then they started doing travel ball, and in travel ball, my dad had a team with travel ball, and we was moving
Which
around.
is huge now.
But we had to come up with $400 a person, just to play.
I know our little league. I think compared to a lot of those other things, is very affordable. Ours is like 130.
That's
very reasonable. And they play a lot of games.
And you get stats, all-star
and
game.
the playoffs, all-star game. Ours is very reasonable. Folks, see, get me word. I want to know if there is Little League in the city of Cleveland. I think there. I would think there is.
This is
I don't
wild
know.
to me.
I want to know if there's Little League, because if not, I don't know. I'd love to be part of something, but there probably is. The Guardians got to be doing something with the city to have Little League in the city of Cleveland.
We ain't seen it because we used to always have opening day. We used to have a parade.
Yeah.
And we would walk down the
Yeah.
street. They would block it off, and we do the, and then we have the city championship where they would play a series of games. It was the best out of 3. So it
all right.
sucks. Yeah.
Let us know if there's a Little League in Cleveland. Yeah.
I will monitor the YouTube chat to see if anyone has information. But
Or
I'll
send
let
me
you
an
know.
email. My email is adamthebullfan@gmail.com.
We'll put that in
Send me
the
an email.
YouTube description
Yeah.
too.
Still
If you have any
use your fan
information,
email?
send it to
No,
Bull. But we
it's
got
not.
we got a big show to get to.
Yeah,
but we're going to dive into our first topic. Tell us about Menu RX first, though, to start off.
Yeah, Menu RX is great. I'm talking to Dr. Jake tomorrow to go over a few things. I'm starting a new nutrition plan and diet plan for myself tomorrow. I'm going to once again try to make another leap. And the only reason I have a shot is because of the advice and the one-on-one counseling I get from Dr. Jake May, who's been supported me even when I've been, not doing the work that I need to do. But at Menu RX, it's not just about weight loss. It's about nutrition. It's about learning what food fuels your body better. It's about getting in better shape, being stronger, being more physically fit. At menu-rx.com, you're working with professionals, not clowns on the internet, scientists, doctors, nutritionists who know how to help and understand that there's no one size fits all when it comes to nutrition. Everybody's body works differently. How do you know what works best for you? Metabolic testing. They do it. And your health insurance will likely cover it. Dr. Jake was recently in Ohio. He's from here originally, grew up here. And he was, working with trainers and medical insurance companies to make sure that as many as possible cover the programs they do at Menu RX, and most of them do. You can use HSA and FSA spending accounts as well. And if you sign up right now at menu-rx.com with any of their programs, you get a 1-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, absolutely free. That's a $60 value for nothing. It's menu-rx.com.
Thank you for that, Bo. Let's dive into our first topic today. And this was something I was pondering over the weekend.
Oh boy.
The Browns, at least since 99 and on, haven't really developed to the full extent a young quarterback. You could say they did a little bit with Baker Mayfield before he left. And now they have 2 young quarterbacks, really 3 if you want to count Kenny Pickett in that equation, but 2 young quarterbacks to focus on this discussion with, in Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. With how much that goes into developing a young quarterback, you talk about all the stuff from an organization, from the front office to the coaching staff to the trainers, nutrition, learning the playbook, all that goes into it. And Tyvis and G, maybe you guys can speak on what you saw in terms of developing quarterbacks. Is there enough time to go around from a coaching staff to be able to develop 2 young guys at the same time, knowing how much it takes just to do one? Is there enough time for Stefanski and the staff to develop 2 simultaneously?
I would say no, because reps is the only way you're going to get better. And if you're not taking reps with the ones or you're not taking those meaningful reps, how can you get better? These are 2 guys that's coming into different systems, and they're all trying to figure the thing out. And I just feel like once crunch time comes around, especially when we get closer towards the season, those 1 reps are very important. And there could only be, this ain't like safety or corner where you got 2 guys going at once. There's only 1 quarterback going at a time. And I just feel like it's hard to continue to develop 2 guys that are on the same page, when it comes to trying to figure this thing out. So I think it's doing them a huge disservice. I understand why you need to do it in case of emergency. Obviously, there's been multiple examples of teams taking 2 quarterbacks and, 1 quarterback gets hurt, the other one comes in and he has a successful year. I think the last one I can think of off the top of the head was last year, Drake May and Joe Mixon. Joe Milton, excuse me.
Well, he didn't play the last game.
Yeah, but they developed them simultaneously.
Yeah.
Or RG3 and Kirk Cousins. Like, they drafted them the same year, they developed them the same way, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you got to pick one and roll with it, and the other one just going to have to figure it out as it goes on. Like I said, you can't – the other one just got to get better off of mental reps. The one that you actually have faith in has to take those first 10 reps, and it's just not enough time and not enough reps in a day to give them both the same amount to make them both equally ready.
But let me just check in with something you said, because you said they can't get better unless they're doing reps with the ones. I just don't get that.
Not with the ones, but like if you want this guy to, I just find it very hard.
Yeah.
That I'm going to take reps with the 2s and the 3s, and then you're going to tell me to go in there and play with the ones and think that it's just going to be perfect.
So you're more saying you can't get ready to play in the NFL without getting reps at the one. You can still get better.
Yeah, you get better for sure,
but not as
you're
good as you
you're
need
not
to be.
game ready if you've only taken reps with
I just
the
wanted
two.
to
There's
clarify
no
that.
way.
I got you.
You're gonna have me go out and practice, and who's to say the Browns twos is good? Okay, I'm making a bunch of plays with the twos.
Yeah.
If I go up against the ones, I can't do nothing.
Right, so you can get better.
Yeah.
You just can't get.
You can see things clearer and understand defenses better, but the speed of the game from twos to one is a huge difference.
So if you're here and you need to get to here, you can go up a little, but it's just so high you can get until you play with the ones.
Yes.
That makes sense. Okay.
I was at home and I was just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And y'all see if y'all vibe with me on this. This whole thing, this whole competition or whatever they're doing, first and foremost,
it ain't no competition.
Let's be clear.
They know who they want.
Let's be clear. Kevin Stefanski ain't developed nobody. I want to just let's get this on paper. Kevin Stefanski somehow now has gotten this thing where he could draft 2 quarterbacks, play around with them, don't play around with them, put them in, don't put them in. But we got 2 first-round picks next year, and we could get another quarterback. Well, first of all, I don't know if I trust your evaluation in quarterbacks.
That's a fact.
Baker Mayfield is playing the best football he's ever played, not under you. Deshaun Watson, you were on record saying that you wanted Deshaun Watson. He was not good. You now have 2 quarterbacks that you took in the 3rd and the 5th round. Are you going to tell me you're just going to play old veterans and waste those picks too? Because there's 3rd-round guys that we could have got receivers, running backs, guys that could help your team. You got a 5th-round pick in Shedeur Sanders, and right now we just looking around, and it seems like you're trying to make him earn reps. Listen, this is not elementary school. This is not try to make somebody humble or figure out whether or not we're going to make you earn. Listen, that sounds great. When you get drafted, it's about who can play. At that point in time, it ain't about 5th and 3rd. It's like, let me see who can play, put them on the field, and get it ready to go. So if you're telling me that you can't figure it out with these guys, why do I have faith that next year I'm going to give you another year to play around with to get another quarterback?
Yeah.
And you haven't developed these 2 or have made a good evaluation on the ones you previously had.
And that's the coach, the GM,
both of them,
ownership, everybody. Because they've drafted poorly. They haven't, you're right. No quarterback has played their best football under Kevin Stefanski. And yes, I don't. If they can't do anything with these 2 guys, well, and then you draft on a quarterback next year, well, why'd you draft 2 quarterbacks if you're not going to give them any opportunity?
Like, it makes you look like you don't know what you're doing and you're just playing around.
Especially Dylan Gabriel, because you drafted him in the 3rd round. The 5th round, the Shedeur Sanders is a weird, obviously an unusual
anomaly.
But usually guys in the 5th round, they're long shots to be good players. Dylan Gabriel was picked in the top 100 picks. Like that's a valuable pick.
Yeah. It's a very valuable pick.
If he's not going to get a real shot and then you're going to move on next year, well, why the hell did you draft him? It's not like you're loaded with talent on this team.
That's why I get to a point where, and it's like, oh yeah, we can afford, like our track record is good enough we can afford to play around this year. No, you can't play around. Like this isn't house money. I don't understand how you get 3-14 and this is house money because we traded and we got some picks. No. And to your point, I don't feel like you can get 2 quarterbacks ready. As I just pointed out, they ain't got 1 quarterback ready before. So how are you gonna?
Joe Flacco was ready.
Now, in fairness, Mike's question was, can you develop 2 quarterbacks? That's a very vague term. Like, what does that mean? Well, there's enough time to get 2 quarterbacks improved,
but
is there enough time to get 2 quarterbacks ready to start? Probably not.
And if they would,
that's a big difference.
And if they would stop playing games, you would be able to do what Tyvis is saying. All of this make you earn it, humble you down,
shouldn't everybody earn their job?
Here's the thing.
No.
That's not how it works in America. We all know that.
Fair.
They aren't like we know that ain't what it is.
That's true.
So my thing is, if you want to find out who's the best guy, here's what I'm gonna do. Hey, if you so good, veteran, beat them out. Everybody's gonna get these first team reps. I want to see the maximum amount. One day you're gonna get these reps. The next day you're gonna get these reps. And this silly argument, like, oh, Shedeur Sanders, I'm gonna tell you what. He doesn't know how to call the plays in the huddle well enough to even get guys lined up.
I told you what you do.
Let me debunk this.
Slap that wristband on.
Tyvis, them same little reps that they run in with the ones. Guess what? them is the same plays that they calling in the huddle over there with the 3s and the 4s. They're not running scout team reps.
That's a fact.
They're running the same exact plays with the same verbiage, the same formations, and all of the good stuff. So, no, if you put Shedeur Sanders with the first team, he's not playing against Bears and Lions. He's not going to get devoured or eaten. They can't hit a quarterback. You know what you will see, though? An evaluation to how you play with top-notch talent to see if the speed of the game is too fast or too slow.
And if he's truly not prepared to play, let's say that's true.
It'll show.
Well, then it'll show
Immediately.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
then
We would know immediately.
So now, I don't buy that Kevin Stefanski has, and I don't know if anybody's saying this, but I don't buy that he has some agenda to screw Shedeur Sanders.
I didn't say that.
But it is confusing. I'd love to know, like, Kevin Stefanski has been asked, why isn't he done with the ones? And he just keeps saying, it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal.
Sure it is.
I wish he would just answer. Give us a reason. What is the reason? There's got to be a reason.
Well, you know that's not their style. But my thing with Kevin is this. And the reason why I think all of us is so on edge with this conversation is because we literally just watched DTR, what happened with DTR.
Facts.
The fact that this man came out and said, I didn't know I was playing until the day before the game. Like, what? How do you put this? And this ain't the preseason. This ain't practice. We're talking about an actual game that matters.
The Baltimore Ravens.
What are you talking about? You didn't know I was the starting quarterback. And I think he said it twice. Like, I think it was twice that this happened.
I think it was 2 different years.
Yeah, what are we? So when you get things like that with a young quarterback and you just throwing them in the fire like that, I just kind of question you a little bit. That's messed up.
Or when Jameis Winston, he goes like Jameis Winston
becomes the starter.
He taps him on the shoulders like, okay, I came here because you was gonna call the plays, right? Then when he taps him on the shoulder, he says, "Oh, you're going to start." But by the way, Dorsey's calling plays. He said, "When did you? I thought you was. What? It's confusing."
Think about it. Last year, how did they start? First press conference. Well, let's get it out the way. I'm going to be calling the plays this year. So it was like now all of a sudden Deshaun go down. I ain't call. I don't want nothing to do with it. I ain't gonna say nothing to do with it, but I ain't calling the plays.
There's a lot of questionable things. We've talked about Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry's job status. And there's a lot of people who think there's no chance they're getting fired this year, which seems crazy to me. Listen, if this season's a disaster and you are going to draft a quarterback in the first round next year, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski should not be making that pick.
I don't want to make it. I don't want to make it a pick because my thing is, when you're in the NFL, I look at the truly great coaches, right? And you look at. All right, let's just compare Shanahan and Stefanski. Shanahan then had how many quarterbacks? Thousands of them, right? Mm-hmm. This man had Garoppolo, and Jimmy G was cool, but they went to a Super Bowl with him. Then, guess what? They went and got Brock Purdy. He made him good.
Yeah.
He was able to make a decision, which I give him credit for because of his talent evaluation. They gave up King's ransom to go get Trey Lance.
Yeah, and they screwed up. They knew it.
And he said, you know what? He ain't no good.
Yeah.
Let me get the 6th round pick, and we're going to have to get rid of 7th. That's and to have the stones to even do that is wild to me.
Yeah.
McVay, you know what he done? McVay said, "Oh, listen, I had golf. Let me go ahead and get it. Let me go get it today."
Now, some quarterbacks, it don't matter, right? Like Zach Taylor's not a very good coach. He's at best average at best. Joe Burrow was going to be good wherever, pretty much wherever he went. Yeah. And he's got good talent around him, whatever. But there's not a lot of quarterbacks it's only that level of quarterback. The Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, whatever. Now, those guys all have good coaches. I don't know. You could question whether the Bills, what's his name?
Sean McDermott?
I don't know. How good a coach is he?
He's a defensive guy, so
I don't know how
he ain't got too much to do with it anyway.
I would say with Lamar, it's a little different. The coach matters more because his style is, you got to have a coach, because there's some coaches.
It mattered early. I don't know if it matters now with Lamar.
No, it wouldn't matter now only because whatever coach you brought into Baltimore wouldn't be stupid enough to run a system that doesn't fit Lamar. But when Lamar was young, as you know, there are coaches that would try to fit a square peg in a round hole. You could have screwed him up early in his career.
They benched Joe Flacco for Lamar.
They did.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
Was Joe
Remember
playing
the first
bad?
He was playing like
Flacco.
Yeah.
Okay.
What if you remember though? Early in that year, they were playing like Lamar was playing a little bit. Like they would run him in there like some packages. He wasn't not playing at all. But
That was 2018, his last year in Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were his
They were
numbers
4-5. He had 12 touchdowns, 6 picks.
Yeah.
Hey, for you to have look, here's the way I look at it with the Browns.
Yeah.
And we talk about the infrastructure and everything. To me, for the Browns to get good and for them to actually win football games, they're gonna have to pull a Joe Burrow. And what I mean pull a Joe Burrow is the Bengals traditionally have been a bad team or trying to spin their wheels, and they got Joe Burrow. He was good and fixed it. The Browns are going to have to just luck into the quarterback, and if they luck into the quarterback can cover up all the other stuff.
That's right.
But if they're looking at it like we're going to develop and we're going to be guys that are going to draft, develop, and be masterminds and tacticians, that ain't going to work. They're not talented enough to do that as a group.
I agree with you. I think there's no reason to have faith in that right now. Now, maybe they turn that reputation around this year. I don't know. We seem to be, the three of us seem to be in the minority because everybody else seems convinced that Kevin Stefanski's a genius, and I don't think he's a bad coach.
No. Wait a minute.
Okay.
I think Kevin understands what his offense can do. I think he does a great job of sometimes calling plays. I know people are very questionable about, like, especially a couple years ago, it was some questionable things. But I understood his thought process behind it and why he was able to take some of those risks.
Yeah.
I never said he was a bad play caller. The quarterback guru thing is what I question because there's just too many things that. Yes, I get the Jacoby Brissetts, I get the PJ Walkers, I get those too. But you're not about to sit there and tell me that you just some of the stuff that's been going on for the past 3 years ain't been just like, whoa.
And I don't want to hear PJ Walker. He was terrible.
He was horrible.
Come on.
He won games. He won games.
And my thing is, I'm a straight up dude. Hey, I don't want no smoke and mirrors, bro. I would respect you.
If you just say I would respect
you if you just say, hey, why should Orange Sellers ain't getting no reps? Well, right now, he need to get in that playbook.
Yeah.
He's a rookie. What is he going to do, melt? He's a rookie. Rookies get talked about all the time on the defensive side of the ball.
At the same breath, that he probably did say that too. He just don't say it to him in the media. And you can't. Kevin been like that the whole entire time.
Right.
I get like they have the conversation. He just not gonna throw you under the bus in the media.
But I get that. But Kevin also
only person he ever did that to was Deshaun with the injury thing.
Or the time that Kevin Stefanski. This has been widely reported.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski refused to call Deshaun Watson out in team meetings on the film, and when he was doing stuff wrong, and everybody else was getting dragged on the carpet.
That was bad.
At the end of the day, you got to keep it 1,000. If you came out here and said, listen, because by the way, the reps thing, that's cool. I want to see. I'm gonna give him some grace. I'm gonna see how this works when we come time to get the pass.
That's what I want to know.
We all want Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry to pan out.
Yes.
It's better for the organization to stay with guys that are here.
Yes.
We want them to, for the light to come on. It takes time sometimes. It's not great when you fire coaches every couple of years. So the perfect scenario is that it works this year. They improve. We see reason to keep these guys on, and it all comes together. But eventually you got to cut ties if that doesn't happen.
I mean, I want them to admit mistakes. I think that's the biggest thing. They be so tied into the analytics said that this, and that. So we
love our wide receiver.
We're going to trust our process. No, it's not working. So you need to avert and fix it. And it's been so many times that they've kept people on rosters that they shouldn't have. They've made some terrible decisions with some of the people that they drafted. It's those things. Just admit that you was wrong.
They never do.
And they don't do that.
G, how old are you now? 45?
43.
I aged you a couple of years. So you're 43.
Yeah.
So you're 11 years younger than me. So I'm going to assume you remember football starting 88, 89, 90,
Man, I was probably about my earliest was probably 88, 87. I don't remember the Sype era.
Okay.
Put it to you like that.
So starting Bernie.
Yeah.
How many times have you ever said what the Browns have said a lot recently? I love that Browns wide receiver room.
Never.
Not even in the Bernie days. There wasn't.
There-
You liked it maybe, but didn't love
There
it.
was one time where they had Corey Coleman,
Yeah.
they had Terrell Pryor, and then they had Josh Gordon.
You like that,
And
Ron?
you liked that. Didn't pan out.
But
Josh
I saw
Gordon.
what Josh Gordon was. Terrell Pryor that year did
had
have 1,000 yards.
which is hard to believe.
And we were like, Corey Coleman was a first-round pick.
Yeah,
so it was like kind of like, okay, we
Yeah.
can kind of imagine it.
What about the year with Derek Anderson?
Braylon
Yeah,
Edwards.
Braylon
And
Kellen
Kellen
Winslow.
Winslow.
Kellen Winslow.
Now, I like
if
that.
we include the tight end.
Who was the other receiver?
Now, who? That year?
It wasn't Joe Jurevicius.
Yes, it was. Joe Jurevicius
Good
was on
job
my
out of
roster.
you.
That's a great
You
pool
know
by
I paid
you.
attention.
But there's but like,
Remember,
there really hasn't ever been a season where going into the season like,
well,
I love
Yes,
this.
it was.
The Tim
Yes,
Couch
it was.
The Tim Couch year, where they was running a teacup formation. They had Andre Davis, the receiver.
Yeah.
They had Kevin Johnson.
Quincy
Yeah.
Morgan.
They had Quincy Morgan.
Was Dennis Northcutt there?
Then Dennis Northcutt. They had the four. They was going with the four wide receivers.
It's been 1 year that I went into the season and said that wide receiver room is
Beckham
ready.
and Landry.
Beckham
Oh
and
yeah,
Landry.
That's
That's
forgot
the
about that.
only
Hey,
time I ever said
And by
that.
the way,
But did they have anything beyond that? Anything any good?
No.
no. And by the way, they both
Who
had
was-
1,000.
Wait a
That was
minute.
wild.
No, because who was
Yeah.
Coop's other guy?
No,
Nobody.
No one since Elijah Moore. Like,
Dang,
no.
Coop
Donovan
never.
Peoples-Jones.
That's who. Yeah, I
Oh,
guess that
my
is who it
God.
was.
By the way, one last thing I want to say on this topic.
And
before
then I
we
want to
move
ask you guys one question, then we'll move on to
on.
Gardner.
Go ahead. You ask your question first.
So, Tyvis mentioned the Drake May, Joe Milton situation last year, which is a very different situation considering Drake May was the third overall pick in the draft,
Very
versus
different,
a
yeah.
late rounder. I have to assume, and I'm assuming here, I don't know for a fact, that when camp broke for the Patriots last year, 98% of the attention was on Drake May and 2%, if that, was on the Joe Milton development side
Probably
of
fair.
things.
That's
if
fair.
not even more.
Yeah.
With the Browns, it could be 50-50, it could be 60-40, it could be who knows how it'll be. But do you think if a young quarterback, whether it's Dylan or Shador, isn't getting 90% of that developmental attention, can they develop into a guy they can actually evaluate, or do they need that level of attention from the coaching staff to figure out, hey, we either have a guy or we don't?
Like I said, the only way you're gonna be able to know, you can sit there all day long, and he can off the field. He can tell you where to go with the ball. He can tell you what the defense
Facts.
is in. He can tell you what the receiver, the lineman. He can tell you the protection, all of that. He can tell you everything. He can know the playbook like the back of his hand. Until he get out there and put them pads on and throw that thing against the ones, it doesn't matter to me because I don't know.
But ultimately,
It's so many smart guys, but
Yeah.
it's a difference between a guy that's smart and a guy that's a football player.
Yeah.
Like, I want the football player.
but Tyvis, ultimately, the better the player, the more he can develop himself, right? I mean,
Bull,
to some degree. I'm not
I
saying
hear
get-
what you're saying.
I'm not saying get to the final step, but
if I ain't taking
I
no
got you.
reps, I don't know. I
Okay.
I can dominate
No, I
the
get
threes and
you.
the twos
Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah.
But if I get with the ones, I might be just an average guy.
So let me. So I'm gonna just ask. I'm gonna ask a very fair question. You guys can answer it in the chat, and I want to hear from everybody up here. What is the worst thing that can happen if they come back in the first day, back from whenever they come to training camp, and they say, Shador, you're going to get reps with the ones just like Dylan Gabriel, just like.
yeah, there's nothing bad.
What's the worst can happen from that?
I mean, he looks like crap.
That's, yeah.
Okay, what's the worst that can happen?
So what?
He looks like crap.
Okay,
And-
what's the worst that can happen, McNuggets?
I guess he looks bad.
There you go. That's it. So
That's
what?
it. So all of the gymnastics, anytime you hear that, just ask the people that think it's the biggest step in history. What's the worst that can happen? He looks bad, and then he doesn't get that many reps moving forward
it.
because he looked bad.
Yeah,
It's football.
yeah. If the guys can't handle that, then they're not going to make it anyway.
Right.
One last thing I wanted to say, because it got brought up again yesterday. I guess it was Jay, because I know G wouldn't bring this up. Maybe
This
Mike
is crazy. This is why I want to see what this is.
Well, somebody when we were talking about Kenny Pickett, and we haven't talked about Kenny Pickett
Yeah,
here
yeah,
at all,
yeah.
and somebody said that, now it's widely known that Matt Canada is the worst offensive coordinator, blah, blah, blah.
Jay said that.
Yeah,
Okay, so it was Jay.
Yeah.
And I've heard multiple people say this now.
Yeah.
And I get it. Matt Canada is not a very good offensive coordinator.
That's fair.
Are we trying to argue that going to the Steelers is worse for development than going to the Browns?
Facts.
I mean,
crazy.
what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
So, like, the people that are trying to promote, and I don't really think Jay's one of the people, but I know Aditi is, and some of the people that really like Kenny Pickett are trying to promote him as if he got wronged by the Steelers because that was a terrible situation. And I'm not going to argue that Matt Canada's a bad OC. He is. Mm-hmm. But he still was with a great organization and had at least solid talent around him.
Solid. They had a really good.
On offense, specifically on offense.
They had a great supporting cast.
I don't know about great. I think great's a little
It was
strong,
a better situation.
It was better than the Browns.
got.
And, like, who's the coach? What? Listen, I know, again, and this goes back to our conversation about Kevin Stefanski. And I've been a supporter of Stefanski. I think he's a pretty good coach. But, like, this idea that he's some offensive genius is patently absurd. At least he hasn't proven it in any way to this point. And so the idea that, well, the Steelers couldn't get the best out of Kenny Pickett, but or the Eagles, although that's not really fair because he didn't really play there. But the Cleveland Browns are going to get the best out of Kenny Pickett. We haven't seen the best yet. I mean, I find that a little hard to believe.
Has Kevin's offense ever finished top 10?
I don't think so.
Maybe that first year.
See, that's amazing.
I'll look it up.
2020?
Well, you can't call him an offensive guru if he.
This is beautiful. This is what. Hey, Mike.
Am I wrong for saying that though?
No.
Is this a spell or something? This is the stuff I've been on here solo talking about for 3 years. Like, 3 entire years. I'm like, I just don't see it.
I wouldn't say that. See, that's not. I'm not saying he's not a good player.
No.
I'm not saying he's not a good OC.
I'm not saying he's
I'm not
trash.
saying that, but I'm just saying you ain't going.
What metrics you want to look at real quick? Scoring offense, yards.
Nah, forget yards. That yards.
Yeah, not yards, just scoring.
I mean, we really need analytics breakdown, but let's go with scoring. It's better than yards.
All right. In 2020, the Browns finished 13th.
Okay.
21, the Browns finished 20th.
Yep.
Okay.
And I can assure you, since this show
Really?
started, they have not been a top 10 offense.
No,
so
definitely not. So 13th was their best.
13th was their best.
Oh, well, I want to see the rest of them now.
Yeah, give us
Go ahead.
the
Go ahead.
rest. 20.
Y'all
22.
play a role.
22 was 17th.
Yeah.
23 was where's Cleveland?
If you just went to their Pro Football Reference page, you could see it right next to each other by year.
Cleveland was 12th in 23.
Okay, 12.
Okay, 12.
So that's the high, right? 12. So
Yeah.
12.
24. 32nd. That was this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead last this year.
All right, so they two years that were, 12th and 13th is solid.
That's solid.
So they had a 2 out of 5, right? 21. Yeah. 2 solid years offensively.
You said the
and 3
first year he was 13th?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the COVID year when they went to the playoffs and beat the Steelers.
I thought asterisk by that.
Everything in the COVID year is an asterisk in every sport in my mind.
I think, man, I was laughing at it.
Yeah.
I said, man, like, I know that we wouldn't look strong at stuff, but people be acting like the play action is like, that's like saying, man, you know we going to run this flea flicker, Tyvis. That is one play.
I was going to text Anthony to say that we stupidly did not get ourselves water, so if he could throw us some water.
Yeah, matter of fact,
my face is swelling up from.
I'll do an ad read.
I
and I'll
screwed
bring
it up,
waters.
and I forgot to get him.
But let me close this by saying,
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin is a bad coach, though. I
don't think he's a bad coach
I still
either.
think he is a good head coach.
But
I just think that him and AB, I just think because of the fact that this is their first time GM and first time head coach, there's going to be mistakes. And as long as they learn from the mistakes, I don't have a problem with it. Like, there's no way this upcoming season, if Shador or Dylan Gabriel starts a game, it can't be we didn't know we wasn't playing until the day before. Like, that don't make no sense to me.
Inexcusable. That's inexcusable.
I feel like stone
Thank
cold.
you, Anthony.
Appreciate
Give me a
you.
beer.
All right, let's move on to our next topic, which is brought to us by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build and practicing every detail to get the best results, but no one player No matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices, from small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions. We'll equip you with the right tools to move forward. Think ahead and lead the way, because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. Bull Andres Gimenez and the Toronto Blue Jays make their first trip to Progressive Field tonight. The game is on WKYC. First pitch at 6:40. We'll get to a bigger preview of the game itself with Brandon Iwesco of Locked On Blue Jays podcast
You don't know how
later
to
in the
pronounce
show.
his name.
Totally botched. I actually forget what it is. I
Yeah.
made that up. It
Come
has
on,
a W
you
and
gotta
a
find
skull
that
in it. It's Braden. I just forget the rest. I'll find it out.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you this, Bull.
Yeah.
We don't spend a ton of time on it, but I do want to spend a few minutes here. The Guardians obviously traded Gimenez to Toronto this offseason. They got back Spencer Horowitz, and then they turned into Luis Ortiz.
It was a 3-team trade.
So far, the early returns have been most favorable for Cleveland. Ortiz has been the best piece in that deal. But is it too early to officially declare the Guardians the winners of the Andres Gimenez trade?
Yeah, definitely. It's way too early. I mean, Luis Ortiz has been solid, but he's been inconsistent. And the problem, again, why I can't get overly excited about it is, and Gimenez, listen, they paid him, it's another example of the Guardians' inability to recognize good talent on offense. That awful one. Now, Andres Gimenez did have one amazing season with the Guardians. It was a great year. He was fantastic that year. And they paid him a significant contract off that 1 year. And it turns out to be not a particularly great contract. But I'm not going to give the Guardians credit for getting rid of his contract, because the goal is not to get rid of bad contracts. The goal is to win the World Series, or at least that should be the goal. And so it's not just about offense, because Andres Gimenez, and I'm not watching him much this year because he's playing for Toronto. I'm assuming he's still playing defense at an extremely high level. Now, the offense is more important, and he's having a horrible season. He hit 3 of those 4 home runs, I think, the first week of the year.
He led the major leagues with home runs after the first weekend.
Yeah.
Since then, he's
been
home run.
Absolutely horrible. He was hurt. He missed some time. So, yeah, he's been terrible. And ultimately, the Guardians are going to be better off probably having Luis Ortiz rather than Gimenez the next few years. That still doesn't help. The biggest problem on the Guardians is that their lineup remains awful. And let's not get, again, those numbers are okay. That's a 4.30 ERA is, what is the average ERA in Major League Baseball these days, Mike? It might be around 4.30.
Give me 1 sec.
I mean, which is hard to believe, because like 20 years ago it would have been. By the way, the average batting average in baseball is 247, which is pretty low.
Yes.
It was actually lower last year. The average in 1999 was
Average league ERA is 4.1 right now.
4.1. So what's his ERA?
4.3.
So, and his whip is not very good. For those who don't know, put that sheet up again. So there's probably a lot of fans that don't know what whip.
Great stat.
What's that?
It's a great stat.
It's a great stat. In fact, I'll give you this advice if you play fantasy baseball. If you're looking for a free agent pitcher, don't even look at his ERA. Look at his whip. 2 stats I look at for fantasy baseball. Whip and strikeouts per inning. Those are the 2 most, that's the most telling thing about how good a pitcher is going to be. Now, his strikeouts per inning are excellent. It's over 1 per inning. If a guy's over 1 per inning, that's very good. He has 91 Ks in 81 innings. That's excellent. His whip is terrible. 141 is a bad whip. So whip is
league
walks.
average whip is 1.3.
The average whip is 1.3? Yeah, 1.4 is not good. Whip is walks and hits divided by innings pitched. In other words, how many base runners are you allowing, not including errors, of course, to reach base per inning? You'll see the elite pitchers are under 1, generally.
I saw his whip the other day. He was driving down the street. Looked nice, bro.
That's good. I knew you were going somewhere with that. Anyway, so, yeah, listen, I like Luis Ortiz, and I think he's pitched better than those numbers. But, again, those trades for Ortiz, who I think is going to settle in to be a nice fourth starter for the Guardians. Ciccone, who will settle in to be a nice third starter for the Guardians. Good additions. Those were good additions by the Guardians. I'm not going to rip them for getting 2 players that I like.
Adequate.
But in the end, their lineup is terrible.
So
beyond terrible.
Could you say? Let me ask you.
Yeah.
In Major League Baseball, there's 2 different trains of thought. There are hitters will be hitters, and they just gonna be hitters. Like, okay, Jose Ramirez, he's a hitter. He's not a guy that, you just develop and one day he gets better and better and better and his play appearances get better, his swing gets better, and then he reaches a peak where you've developed a really good hitter. Some people just come out and they can just hit and it just is what it is. For the Guardians, do you believe that Gimenez or a lot of these other people could have some baseline talent? They just are clueless when it comes to developing hitters and making those guys, because what they're doing on the pitching side is getting guys and they're adding to them. They got more pitches, they got more velocity, their mechanics get better, they seem to play better in big spots.
So I think it's a combination of, I actually think they're worse at analyzing hitting than they are at developing it.
Okay.
Whoever is ultimately their decision maker on bringing in hitters to the organization, that person's no good. Because I think for the most part, like Andre Gimenez, I never thought he was going to be a great hitter, and he had that one season, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. Baseball's a weird game. You know this. You played. In football and basketball, except for injuries, when a player has a great year, they usually stay great, unless there's injuries, right?
Yeah.
Or they, or they get old. Or you get old. How often do you see a player in the NBA? I'm sorry, in the NBA, in the NBA or the NFL, where they're elite, or not even elite, very good player, prime of their career, completely healthy, and all of a sudden they stink the next year. It doesn't happen that often.
No.
It's uncommon in those sports. Not that it never happens, but it's not common.
Yeah.
In baseball, it happens all the time. And you sometimes you're like, what happened? A guy will just have a year. You look at a guy like Cody Bellinger, who's now on the Yankees.
Yeah.
This guy was Rookie of the Year. He was an MVP. And he's had other years when he's barely playable. Yeah. And it's not. And you're like, what is going on?
Baseball, like I used to names like Lincecum. What Tim? He was like
went off a cliff.
He was the
Barry
greatest
Zito off a cliff.
Wow,
what see that? This guy was great in Oakland. He signed a free agent contract with the Giants. Couldn't pitch.
Could not throw the ball.
Javi Baez, although he's bounced. Baez, great on the Cubs. Signed with the Tigers. Horrible. This year he's bouncing back.
Well, Soriano didn't get trash, but
he did. No, he did. He was a little older, but Alfonso. You see this all the time in baseball.
Melky Cabrera.
I think. Yes, Melky Cabrera too. Robinson Cano.
They're brothers. They're cousins.
We could list the hundreds of guys. This happens all, and Andre Gimenez.
They get paid.
Some of it, I think there's a lot of things at play here. I think some of it's getting paid, and some players check out when they get paid. But I don't think that's a lot. I really don't.
I would hope
You scouting too. Sometimes the book on a guy.
As a guy gets older, that changes. But why does it happen to veterans? Because you see it with veterans that it happens.
It's a great question.
I think more than any other. Yes, listen. There's a mental part of all sports, right? We've seen that with Deshaun Watson. I think part of the reason he sucks is because I don't know that for a fact, but I think he's mentally scarred, and that's why he sucks now. I think that's a big part of it.
It's almost like, okay, so you put it to you like this. Even if you go to your little league and your son.
Yeah.
There's times you say Aaron struggled last year.
Yeah.
But then he came back the next year.
Yeah.
I seen him when he came in for the draft. I said, "Oh, you old now." Yeah. He was like, "All right, so you just mature. You just running around here unleashed now." And then he goes into the baseball season, and then he's like, "Oh no, now I can hit. I'm locked in. I'm hit." Like the ups and downs don't really get him. He's like, okay, from time to time, you probably don't even have to encourage him as much. He's like, I know I can. Baseball is a mental thing.
It's funny with him. Real quick before we get, I noticed that like a lot of the other good so there's some kids that play travel, don't play little league, and they come to the field and now those kids are like all interested in talking to him.
You're right, because it's like, oh no, they know. Oh, you've gotten your grown man.
Yeah.
Okay,
but And also when my wife and Aaron were in Maine, they just got back yesterday. We're visiting one of her friends and her kids, and her youngest son, who Aaron was hanging with, is 3 years older than him, but Aaron was taller than him. But they were staying at an Airbnb, and the woman who owned the Airbnb thought Aaron was going on a college visit, which I was like, that's a little crazy.
And
He don't
Aaron
look that
looks
old.
He doesn't look. He's
He
not like
don't look that
He doesn't
old.
look like AJ.
But like he could pass for 15.
Absolutely.
If you didn't know him and I told you he was 15, he could pass. But I think some of it would be. I mean, think about baseball, right? Think about in the NBA. All right, like there's just you have so much more success in the NBA and the NFL.
Yeah.
There's nothing in my opinion, in sports harder to do than hit a baseball. There's nothing. You have milliseconds, literally milliseconds, to decide if you're going to swing or not.
I've been diving into this. I've been looking at it like through the scientific stuff, and you're right. Like you're trying to hit a round ball with a round bat.
Yeah.
And there's this. You could be this much off of it.
Right.
And you swing him in.
That's it.
It's also coming 100 miles an hour with 20 inches of movement.
I got something harder than that.
Yeah.
That's crazy, though.
What?
That was definitely crazy.
That
to
was
say
wild.
More
I got
difficult.
something harder than that.
I got something more difficult than that.
That's crazy. Because that denotes you was.
Ty, what's more difficult for a move on? Other than saying the sentence without laughing.
Yeah, what is more difficult than
Fly
that?
zoning and KOR.
What? I don't even know what language you're speaking.
Oh, excuse me. Blocking somebody on kickoff return.
I thought you said
The
fly
old.
fishing. Oh, yeah.
You think that's harder than hitting a baseball?
That's the hardest thing in football. I don't care what nobody says.
Let me tell you something. Here's the funny thing, right? In baseball's the only sport. Well, maybe hockey. It's a little different. It's hard. Of the three main sports, baseball's the only sport where the best players fail more often than they succeed. That's not the case in basketball.
You know how many
it's not the
people
case in football.
fail in KOR? Blocking a fourth-string
I'm
linebacker?
talking about superstars.
You know what I mean? Well, they don't do it. So.
And by the way, you got to play the field.
Yeah.
Fielding, people tracking a baseball in a major league ballpark in the middle of the, like you have to judge where the ball is hit.
Yeah.
You have to judge the angle, your pursuit. Should I go in? Should I come back? What are we doing here? Like it's
Those
just,
guys make it look so routine,
right.
too.
Like
You know how hard it is to stand on a baseball field? I've done this in minor league fields, not on a major league field. But do you know how hard it is to stand on a baseball field, a big field with lights and thousands of people, and just catch a routine fly ball? It's not easy for a regular person.
even if you got to move. And these guys are getting on their horse.
Yeah.
Going to get the ball in the gap. It's just it's the eye and the coordination and some of the unwritten stuff that you do with your body.
And the mental dealings of
crazy.
I'm going to fail so many more times than I'm going to succeed.
Yeah.
That's hard to deal with, I think, if you're a professional athlete.
Boy, I just looked real quick because I was curious.
Yeah.
The top hockey scorers, what their shooting percentage is.
Yeah.
The best in the league last year among like high volume scorers was Leon Draisaitl of Edmonton, led the league in goals. He had a 21.7% shooting success rate.
Right. Which
even
is
lower than
here's
most baseball
the
players,
big difference, though. When Aaron Judge comes to the plate, every time he doesn't come through, fans are disappointed, right?
Yeah.
When what's that guy's name? The hockey player?
Leon Draisaitl.
When Leon Draisaitl tries to score a goal, you're not getting disappointed every time he doesn't score.
You keep shooting.
That's just part of and it's part of the game of baseball too. But there's a different level of expectation, especially for the superstars in baseball.
100%.
Yeah, it's like if Donovan Mitchell is having a bad shoot night, but the Cavs is losing, no one is saying, "Hey, pass the ball." No, keep shooting. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. By the way, I feel like I mentioned this yesterday. Have you guys seen? There's two plays that happened recently, really three, that I would love to be able to show. Can we show three baseball clips?
Is it the
I mean,
one
you have
with
to
the
text
guy?
them to us, and we have
Did
to
you see that guy Denzel Clark of the A's? Did you guys see that one?
That's the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Well, if you text us the clips, we'll get them by the end of the show.
My
I'll get 'em in.
God.
All right.
Let me do a read.
Go ahead, do a read.
We got a sock coming up, and we'll get these in by the end of the show.
All right.
But a reminder, tonight's game, between the Guardians and the Blue Jays is on WKYC. Coverage starts at 6:30. First pitch at 6:40. And you can find it right here on WKYC. We're going to talk Cavs for a second. We'll save, Bull, just to your pleasure, we're going to save the draft talk for tomorrow. We're going to save. I know you're really invested in these second-round picks the Cavs have, but we're going to save that for tomorrow. Instead, we're going to talk about a little extra nugget we got on a rumor that was something we discussed yesterday. We talked about the Kevin Durant trade yesterday. He obviously got traded to the Houston Rockets. The Cavs were listed as a mystery team in that discussion. Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo Sports was on a podcast with Tom Haberstroh, who has been on this very program before, talking about what he had heard as a potential package the Cavs put together for Kevin Durant. And he said Darius Garland was involved. So this is Kevin O'Connor on the Kevin O'Connor podcast, giving a little reference to what I just mentioned. Take a listen.
If Evan Mobley was on the table, I'm not saying he would be on the table, but if Cleveland was
on that note, Tom, on that note, Gambadoro did say to me on the podcast earlier that the Cleveland Cavaliers were one of the sleeper teams for Kevin Durant. That at least shows they have a willingness to take big swings. I heard that they offered Garland in that deal for Kevin Durant. Garland is not Evan Mobley. But to your point, if they were to think about something like that, they're at least, when exploring a KD deal, they've at least shown a willingness to think big and go for a big star player. So maybe they would. That's all I'm adding to that.
So Kevin O'Connor put that out there. No one else has kind of echoed it, but when you looked at the potential deals to make the money work, it either had to be Garland and a little less or Allen and a little more to make the money even remotely close. But Tyvis, I'm curious, as the number one Darius Garland protector on this podcast, if you were DG, how would you feel right now knowing that you were potentially on the trading block for another superstar caliber player in Kevin Durant?
I mean, this the problem with us pro athletes is that we mix business and personal feelings together all the time. So probably I'm gonna say he's probably hurt by this because he's thinking, I've been here before everybody. I've been here probably the longest out of everybody on this team, and I'm the guy that y'all, Jason and them reported last year that he was going to want out and all of these things, and he decided to nip that in the bud, sign an extension, all that, blah, blah, blah. And to know that they're trying to trade him because they think Kevin Durant is which he is. He is. That's also the thing that he got to realize, like, Kevin Durant would be better suited for the team than you. That's a fact. But he's going to be hurt by it. Now, the thing is, he could be petty. He could be like, y'all wanted to trade me, then I'm going to request this trade. He could pull that move. I hope that's not the case. I hope that he's like, you know what? This means I need to lock in. I need to come out here. I'm still here. I'm still with my guys. I still love this team. And you can't let the upstairs affect what you do on the court. And that happens so much in sport. It was something that I even struggled with, to where it's like the decisions from not the coaches, not the teammates, it's the people upstairs. You got beef with them, so now it's messing up your mood in the building, and now you got, attitude towards people that ain't got nothing to do with it. So he's got to block that out and realize, listen, I'm still here. I still got a chance to be a really good player in this system. And when he get back, he got to go to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kevin Durant, bro. Like,
that's what I'm saying. It's KD.
It's like, when you in the league, like one of the things about the NBA is that there's a lot of people that are NBA players can be sensitive sometimes because there's only 12 of them, and the way that they develop and the way that they go about the AAU circuit, it's elitism. Like, it's to a point where they don't even really play pickup games like that with guys in the street. High school kids now say, I don't play with guys in the street. I don't play on the playgrounds. I just play my thing. It's almost like they've been sheltered to a point where it's like everybody feels like somehow that they're like, I guess, untouchable. But they should know, and you get to an age where you understand there's only 3 or 4 guys that get that off. And if you're not one of those 3 or 4 guys that's untouchable, like, your name is going to be mentioned in certain things. That is just what it is. Like, if it's Kevin Durant, LeBron James, you got guys like Luka, Steph Curry's, Those are the guys, bro. Anybody wants those guys. Like, so, for you to get upset and say, well, if you, it should be an honor, right? If they said, yo, we trading G. Bush from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show for Stephen A. Smith. Hey, man, I got traded for Stephen A.
I wouldn't like that. I'd be pissed about that.
Hey, listen. I wouldn't be mad. I'd just say, hey, listen, man. I got traded for one of the best dudes in the game.
Hey, when the Seahawks cut me for Devin Hester, you think I was that upset?
I'm like, Hester. I would have did the same thing.
What I said, I would have did the same thing.
I understand.
Is that really true? They cut you for Devin Hester?
Yes.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
You didn't know that? My rookie year, so we went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we didn't have no punt returner because Tyler Lockett broke his leg.
Yeah.
So going into the playoffs, they needed a returner.
Why couldn't they just put him on IR?
I don't know. But Sherm was the one that was taking the return. Every game, he would fair catch the punt return. So
when he broke his leg, were you worried you were going to lose your roster spot?
No, it was. That's
even
offense. Ain't got nothing to do with me.
Oh, okay.
they call up somebody from one of the receivers from practice squad.
Yeah.
I'm still going. I'm good.
Yeah.
And they was
sucks.
like, listen, Tyvis, we don't have a returner for the playoffs, and we need a returner, so we're going to cut you for Devin Hester. And I looked at Josh Naylor and I said, you cutting me for Devin Hester? I would have did the same thing.
They could have cut somebody else for crying out loud.
That's the Hall of Famer.
Why didn't they put that on IR?
At this point, I want the 6 corner / 4th safety. Yeah, I would cut me too. I ain't mad at it.
You had a good that was nice
Devin,
of you.
if you would have told me it was some scrub, I'd have looked at him crazy.
Yeah, like
Devin Hester. Like, what am I supposed to say?
Hall of Famer, bro. But when I look at it, I just, I don't want people to get it in their mind like people. We are saying that Darius Garland ain't a good basketball player. I just think people don't realize that watch the Cavs is that when you get into the pantheon of where they're trying to get and they win all those games and they're a good team and you see, okay, they're on the cusp of trying to make the championship, you got to understand that the pressure ratchets up. Like, go back and look at 2016 at the level of pressure LeBron put on all his other pieces. Kevin Love openly talks about it.
Yeah.
He said it was affecting my mental health. You look at Dion Waiters getting jettisoned. You look at Kyrie Irving having to turn himself into an assassin because he was just oblivious of, hey, I'm the face of the franchise. And LeBron came and said, it ain't about you being the face no more. It's about we need you to get to this point so you can hit the shot we need you to hit to win this championship. And they got a lot of veterans in here. So it's not that we don't like Darius Garland or we don't think Darius Garland is talented. He's a very talented player. However, when you get up here and you're trying to win a championship, the scrutiny is ratcheting up and the expectations and people, if you're not getting it done, people going to want to move you out. That's just the way it is.
By the way, our guy Halim Youssef, who sends us chats
Halim,
a lot.
great dude.
Halim was in the chat this morning when I was doing my Bet Rivers podcast, and he called me out for allowing my anger with the Cavs to cloud my judgment about the team. And I admitted that it was
he's
true.
Right.
What's that?
He's right.
And I think I've even admitted that before.
Yeah.
And I admitted it again today. And so I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, I've been pretty hard on the Cavs.
I've calmed down a little bit.
Some of it fair, some of it maybe over the top.
Is it because that you calm down because there will be no Dame Lillard, no Tyrese Halliburton, and no Jason Tatum next year in the East?
Well, you can't trade Garland. Here's the thing.
Is that why you calm down?
Nobody's trading for Darius Garland with this injury.
I'm just asking why you calm down.
Well, actually,
just because time.
If the Suns were able, and they were not, Kevin Durant picked his destination. That was abundantly clear.
Yeah.
Whatever the Cavs put together that Darius Garland would have been the centerpiece of is a significantly better return than what they ended up getting from Houston.
Right.
Which tells me Kevin Durant was saying, I'm not re-signing.
Right, they didn't get much, right?
They got Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, a first-round pick this year, and 5 second-round picks.
Right, and their first-round pick this year is going to be not worth anything because Houston's going to be a playoff.
No. It's number 10. In tomorrow's draft.
I see. I see. Well, that's
it's pretty good
supposedly
draft.
it's a really good draft, right?
Yeah, it's Phoenix's pick back. It was
I
actually
got you.
Phoenix's pick.
So that pick
Houston-
could be that guy could end up being a very good player.
It could,
But
but-
ain't Jalen Green and Devin Booker the same person?
They have like
They're gonna
they have like 7 shooting guards right now.
Aren't they going to trade?
Jalen
Don't they want to
Green
trade
get
Jalen
traded.
Green?
They're probably going to trade Jalen Green.
So we got to see what it ends up being.
But I'm just
I get
saying, when I heard this report yesterday, and
Yeah.
once again,
But what were the Cavs giving up besides Darius? Nothing, right? I mean, what else do they have?
you
Nothing.
still have to add 15, 16 million just to make the money work. At first, they would have to shed some salary.
Imani
Adding Durant
Bates.
to this roster, from a basketball standpoint, made perfect sense. Like, he's
Oh
a
yeah, the
perfect
Cavs
fit.
would have been.
From a financial standpoint, to pay the money he needs, to pay Donovan, to pay Evan, and Jarrett would not have been in that deal if Darius was the primary part of the package. You would have had basically 6 veteran minimum guys to fill out the rest of your roster. Like, it would have been those 4 and
Yeah.
nobody. It was really
Now,
difficult from a financial standpoint.
I will say that Kevin Durant is one of my the players I like the least. I just can't. I'm not
He's
a Kevin
so
Durant
good,
fan
though.
at all.
He's
What?
so
You
good.
hate Kevin Durant?
Hate Kevin Durant.
Why?
He's so good.
I hate him. Only thing I hate about him is that he went to Golden State. He wasn't raised right. That's what I said when he made that decision.
Yeah, that was lame.
He
But
wasn't-
whatever.
outside of that, I don't have no.
I don't know. He's just I feel like he's a whiner, and he's always blaming the media for stuff. And
By the way, this is it's one of the biggest heel turns. Kevin Durant was universally liked 100%.
I know, yeah.
In OKC.
Ever since he went to Golden
Universally.
State, he's been universally disliked. That being said, as much as I don't like him, of course you make that trade if you're the Cavs. And if you're Darius Garland, I get it. I'm gonna be a little hurt, but it wasn't like they were trading him just to trade him, as we've talked about before. If you could get Kevin Durant, even though there's some pitfalls with Kevin Durant because of his age. Yeah, but there's no guarantee it's going to work out. He's old. He can be a pain in the ass sometimes. He's been on a lot of teams now at this point, hasn't he? 4.
Durant, OKC,
Golden State,
The Nets.
the Suns, and now the Rockets. It's 15.
That's what it was 4 going to, but so we don't know if it's going to pan out, if it's going to work, but the potential upside if you had a big 3 of Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley, forget about it. The Cavs, if it went right, could easily win a champ, and you'd actually have a player that's won a championship.
This is random, but do you know at some point SGA is going to get traded to the Rockets?
Why?
Because all of OKC stars get traded to the Rockets.
You're right. They do.
Well, they don't go direct. He didn't go directly to the Rockets.
Who?
Durant didn't.
No, he's saying,
but they all
Harden got traded to the
it's gonna
Rockets.
end up
Westbrook
there.
got traded to the Rockets.
Right.
Durant
So
now
eventually,
got
at some
traded.
point,
He gonna go to the Rockets.
Yeah.
Man.
Is he going to get? By that point, he'll be fat and bad at basketball.
You think he'll be fat?
No, James Harden. I was thinking about James Harden.
Yeah, well,
Hey, one
And
of
he's
the
not even bad at basketball.
No, I said he
one
not
of the
bad.
most overused.
And he was a 2-time MVP there, so
One of the
Did he
most
deserve any of those
overused
MVPs?
bars in rap of all time.
probably not.
All you need to know,
I'm a franchise like a Houston Rocket.
but by the way, guys, all you need to know about how awful the NBA is when it comes
Shout
to
out
Hall
to
of
Steve
Fame, when it
Francis.
comes to MVPs and stuff, is that James Harden has won more MVPs than
No,
Kobe
he only
Bryant.
has 1. I was wrong. He's got 1.
James Harden has won as many MVPs as Kobe Bryant.
And how many MVPs did Shaq get?
Shaq?
I should have Shaq should have had like 10 MVPs.
LeBron should have 13.
13 or something crazy. Like
Shaq has just 1.
That's crazy.
Shaq only won 1 MVP?
That's crazy.
Hey,
Well,
What's more egregious, Shaq having 1 or Kobe
Both.
having 1?
they played at the same era, so like.
oh,
But they only won 1 each.
But it was during LeBron won a couple during Kobe's prime.
Miss
Like,
me with that.
Duncan won a couple
What are you
during.
talking about? Kobe was in the league a number of years
Miss
before
me with
LeBron.
that.
I know. But
How
I'm
you
saying LeBron won during
McNuggets.
Kobe's.
Steve
like,
Nash won 2.
that was
I know.
wild.
Steve Nash
Steve
shouldn't
Nash
have 2.
won 2?
Steve is 2. Yeah.
That's
Nash has
insane.
Really? I thought he won 1 over Kobe, and I thought that was the only
guys
one.
who, no offense
No,
to our friend Jason Lloyd, the guys who vote on
Yeah,
the NBA
it's-
awards are the worst.
They
They are the worst. They don't know
might
what the hell they're doing.
I will say you this: besides the fact that the baseball people don't let the steroids guys in,
You can't. A lot of guys do.
Mark McGuire should be in.
but I think the baseball
Not enough,
dudes,
though.
baseball dudes are the most accurate when it comes
100%.
to the Hall of Fame voting.
Yes.
Mark McGuire should be in.
besides
This guy's more egregious, better than him.
Yeah, but the football, but the guys who vote for NBA,
Yeah.
they just they'll just straight up tell you, I'm in my feelings. I think I just like him this year.
and
He's gonna win.
The NBA Hall of Fame is a total. It's not even. Why doesn't the NBA have its own Hall of Fame? It's a basketball.
It
Hall
makes
of
no
Fame.
sense. It makes
Like
no
the baseball Hall of Fame and the football Hall of Fame are amazing.
Yeah,
The basketball Hall of Fame is a joke.
football.
no sense.
Football is the most. You gotta be good.
Football's the hardest one to get into. by
No,
far.
actually, it's not even
I
close.
thought it was
Baseball's
baseball.
harder.
Baseball.
Yeah.
It's just that it seems like football's harder because there's more players.
Oh, that's probably a good point.
But
Yeah.
in football, they put 4 or 5 guys in at least every year. In baseball, it's usually like 2 or 3,
That's fair.
sometimes even less.
Bull, tell us about Menu RX, and we're going to play a little round at Keep Cut Trade.
Menu RX, they do a great job. Well, if you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to get in better shape, if you're looking to just find out how to be more nutritionally sound as an eater, that sounds really nerdy and sciencey, but that's what you want. Do you want some meathead on the internet telling you what to do to get in better shape, or do you want a doctor or a scientist who has actually studied this for a living? That's what I'd want. That's what you should want. And that's what you should do by going to menu-rx.com. They'll do metabolic testing on you to find out exactly what foods work best for your body. There is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to health, nutrition, and weight loss. So go to menu-rx.com today. Sign up for any of their programs, and if you do, you get a 1-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show absolutely free. That's a $60 value for nothing. Menu-rx.com.
All right, let's play a little Keep Cut Trade, guys. Haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Was waiting for this panel to bring it
Yeah,
back.
this is the best panel for that.
We put some categories in for this.
Yeah.
So it's not just specific. Let me pull up the
It's obnoxious to make it a
categories.
little more complicated, Mike.
No, it's still the same premise, but we just put these in categories so it gives you a little one. So the first category is Browns rookies in terms of who you think will have the best career.
Career.
Yeah, career.
Okay.
Quinshawn Junkie.
So we picked the last 3 offensive players the Browns picked. Almost. Keep Cut Trade. Harold Fannin, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Sampson.
Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Sampson, and Harold Fannin.
Who will have the best career?
In terms of who will have the best NFL career.
I'm cutting Harold Fannin.
Wow.
It's really a toss-up with the last 2.
I mean, if you don't say keep Shedeur, you're going to get a lot of hate mail.
Hey man, you could do.
I see it either way. Either way.
Hey.
Either way. You
But we got to keep it real.
So Tyvis, you're cutting the highest of the 3 that were drafted. You're cutting them.
Yep.
By the way, is cut worse? Isn't so? It's you have it as keep, cut, or trade. Isn't cut the worst of the 3
It just
players?
doesn't-
Yes.
Keep Trade Cut doesn't sound as good as
That's
Keep
true.
Cut Trade.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This is easy. You could have put Shedeur up there with veterans.
Yeah.
Who you want to throw in there? Shedeur Sanders or Joel Batonio?
I'm good either way.
Who you want to put up in there, man? Y'all got it. We keeping Shedeur Sanders off top. Stop playing around. We gonna trade Harold Fannin because I think he got the most value, and Dylan Sampson. I'm sorry, bro. We got to roll out. We got Junkins.
I'm with G. First of all, you always keep the quarterback.
Yes.
It's 3 unknowns. None of
Yeah.
these guys have played in the league. We don't know if any of them are going to be any good, or they might all be great. So if it's unknowns and I have a team that hasn't had a good quarterback, I'll have to keep the quarterback.
It's simple.
I think there's probably. If I think about it, I think Shedeur actually has the best chance to be successful.
I agree.
Beyond even the position, but the position alone makes him the keep. Between the other 2. I guess I'll keep Fannin. I'm with G. I'll trade Fannin and I'll cut.
Does it have anything to do with the fact that he's from Canton, McKinley?
1,000%.
Oh yeah.
And he went to a Mac school.
You know him at all?
I don't know. I covered him when I was doing play-by-play in Camp
He
McKinley.
went to your high school?
Yeah, same
And he
high
hasn't
school.
paid homage? What's that all about?
You know, he look.
If nothing else, we're transparent on the show.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm just saying
I
that
agree
to-
with. If we go in that route, I'm gonna keep Shador. I'm trading Dylan Sampson. I'm cutting Fannin.
Let me ask you this: what would the reaction be? This is just a thought. I'm just doing a thought experiment. If they traded Shador Sanders, if the Browns traded him, right, and he turned it out to be good, like what would the
Nuclear.
What would the
Chernobyl levels of nuclear. Gene.
Well, think about how people react to Baker playing well. Right? This, you could say, well, he hasn't been good here, so it'd be different. But
Let me ask you this. This matters.
yeah,
What team did he get traded to? Just hypothetically speaking.
no, it'd be the worst.
Oh.
He gets cut.
and
And the
goes to
Steelers sign him.
Listen, I couldn't watch football no more.
Yeah.
And let me stop saying that. Let me stop saying that because I said something that if they passed on Travis Hunter and drafted a D tackle, and my crystal ball just came up like, oh, G. Bush, you see this D tackle? We drafted him. It was wild, and they traded him.
Yeah.
So
Travis Hunter's gonna have a big year.
1,300 and 5 picks.
Yeah.
And if he has that, Tyvis,
It had like like 800 yards.
I mentioned this yesterday, Tyvis. Did you see that he's been in all the preseason stuff so far? He's been almost exclusively on offense.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. He took some reps on defense though.
Yeah, they were
He
saying
had
that
like
they
a
were
pick or
doing
something.
that because he's more natural on defense. than they wanted
Yeah,
him to
that's
work.
what I
That's what Tyvis said.
I literally
Yeah.
said that.
When did you say that? I don't remember.
I said,
In the whole lead- in the whole
if
lead-up.
I took him, I wouldn't even have to practice him.
Ari, then I did not remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Good job out of you.
Yeah, he said
and
that.
you were right. And they're following your advice.
All right, next keep cut trade here.
Jaguars should hire you.
Guardians Relievers Edition, Bull. One of these names is someone you had mentioned you would trade, so I'm curious
Yeah.
if in this scenario you would still trade Emmanuel Clase if the three on the board to keep cut trade were Clase, Cade Smith, and Hunter Gaddis.
Clase's still the best.
I'm trading.
Are we doing it strictly on the best? I would trade Clase because I can get
I
the most
would
for him in
too.
a trade. Even though Clase's better than Cade Smith. But it's pretty easy.
Yeah, this was,
Keeping Cade,
Yep.
cutting Gaddis, and trading Clase.
Yeah, but there's really no other way to look
Okay.
at it.
Yeah.
Unless you're strictly going by who's the best, and then you keep Clase. But
All right, let's go to the next one. This next category is called non-elite point guards. Steve?
I like this.
Trae Young, Jamal Murray, and Darius Garland. Keep cut trade. How you playing this one out,
cutting
G?
Jamal Murray. I'm trading Trae Young, and I'm keeping DG. And yes, I'm a DG apologist.
It's tough. And I think playoff Jamal Murray is when he's right with Jokic is a
how old is Murray?
It's not old. Hold on. I'll tell you one sec.
what is he averaging to?
He was born in 97. He's 28 years old.
How much is he averaging?
This past season, he averaged 21.4 points and 6 assists per game.
Same dude. I'm a little higher on Trae Young than a lot of people. I think the advanced analytics don't like him because
I was sleeping over there.
No, I'm just listening. I already said my piece.
I'm gonna go. I would.
I love to hear McNuggets.
I would trade. I would trade Darius Garland.
Yeah.
I would keep Trey, and then I'm gonna go. I cut Jamal Murray.
All right. You guys are out of pocket right now. This is an easy one. Mike, give me some stats here. How many of these guys has a ring?
Jamal Murray.
Was he the 7th best player on that team when he won a ring?
No, he was the second best
He was the
player on
second
team.
best player on a team that won a championship. Correct?
Yeah.
That is correct.
How many Eastern Conference Finals appearances do the other two guys have?
One.
Oh, Trae Young got
Young?
there once?
Yeah, remember the year Ben
Bucks.
Simmons wouldn't shoot that layup?
Oh, that's right.
And the Hawks had that very fluky
That's
trip to
right.
the Eastern Conference Finals?
I'm keeping the guy who was the second best player on a championship team. I'm trading. Trying to leave my bias, my anger with the Cavs out of it. I'm trading Trae Young and I'm cutting Darius.
Is that correct?
What's the correct order, Mike?
I have been very adamant that I do not like Trae Young. I do not like his game.
Yeah.
I would cut Trae Young. I'm here for either keeping Garland, trading Garland, keeping Murray, trading
What's
Murray.
the argument for Darius over Murray?
Murray's had 2 very good years, and other than that, he's been incredibly inconsistent and way more injury prone than Darius Garland.
Trae Young averages 24
and 10.
and 24 and almost 12.
Yeah.
11.
That's why I said I trade him.
11.6 assists a game.
But he
But
is
Mike,
a
but
defensive
Darius is also
liability.
injury prone.
Yes, he is.
How many good years has he had? 3?
Darius has 3. Murray's been Murray's been in the league
But-
since 16.
But he's what?
Been in the league since 2016,
And what was Darius' first year?
1920.
But one guy has done it on the big stage, and one guy hasn't.
Like I said, I'm here for either one. I'm not saying it
I
comes
just
down to
don't
personal preference
understand
on.
the only argument for Darius over Murray is based on regular season play. There's no postseason argument.
He ain't been well. He,
Look,
No, Murray was incredible in the 2
How
playoff
would you?
runs.
What you think an NBA team that's trying to win a championship would rather have Darius Garland than Murray?
Yeah, Murray's coming off a torn ACL. He hasn't played more than 60 games in 5 years now.
Who
Bull.
cares how many games he plays? Does he show up for the playoffs? That's all that matters.
You want to know what he did this year in the
I'm about to
playoffs?
say he didn't do nothing
Was he hurt?
this year.
No, he's healthy. He hasn't
Okay. Did he have a bad year?
the last 2 years in the playoffs, he hasn't been very good.
All right.
I,
How good was
that's-
Darius Garland this year?
In the regular season, he was better than
I
Murray.
don't care about the regular
But
season.
you didn't specify what you want. You said how
I'm
good was
talking
this year?
playoffs.
They
That's
had
all that matters.
Very comparable numbers in the playoffs this year.
hey, if you want to talk regular season, look at this boy Trae Young came in averaging 20.
Will you stop?
Then he have-
Trae Young, it's empty calories, bro.
30,
It's
30,
Sprite.
So
Hey,
he's got better stats. We're going to
He was
ignore that.
averaging 30.
30.
One guy's got a ring. We're going to ignore that.
I told you I'm here for either one.
I
averaged
think
30 a second year.
I
Actually, you know what?
yeah.
I think Garland has more trade value than Murray.
30 and
So I
9.
would
Go
keep
ahead and look
Murray.
at it.
I trade Garland.
It's 20.
Once again, I go
I'm
back
cutting
to
Trae
if
so
Garland
fast
has so
in this
much
scenario.
trade value, why can we never find a good trade for him?
The Nuggets have secretly been shopping Murray for like 2 years too, and can't find a taker for his contract. So they're in the same spot.
So
Cavs haven't been able to trade Darius.
watch this. Watch
So I
this.
said same spot.
Some people watch this, Mikey. Some people would say that Darius Garland's are empty stats.
Yeah, I think you can make that case too.
Yeah, because it's
It,
meaningless.
it doesn't.
Because he did the regular
If Darius Garland hits you for 27, that ain't.
The difference is, they ran an entire offense and made an entire team to maximize what Trae Young wants to do.
Facts.
And Trae Young, outside of one fluky Eastern Conference Finals appearance where Ben Simmons forgot how to shoot a layup.
Right. Again, further than Darius Garland's ever gone.
Fair.
Facts. And
Has
by the
done
way,
nothing.
And Darius Garland's a way better talent. around
and
him.
by the way, when they had an opportunity to get into the playoffs, they lose the playing game at home to Trae Young, who went off.
We're holding a play-in game from 3 years ago, 4
Hey,
years ago, as the
Mike,
deciding
let me tell you
factor
something.
in one of
You
these
are-
two. You're out of your mind.
If I'm anti-Cavs bias, you're pro-Cavs bias.
I told you I'd trade DG. I'm anti-Trae Young. I'm
You hit
very
on it.
anti.
A lot of people don't like Trae Young. A lot of people don't.
I
like
would
him.
not want Trae Young. If I was trying to seriously win, I would have want Trae Young within 100 miles of my basketball team. I'm dead serious.
But you want
Let me
Darius
ask you this.
Darius Garland's a much better winning
So let me
player.
ask you this,
than Trae
Mike.
Young is.
If you
Shoot.
would you rather Trae Young or LaMelo Ball?
I'd rather jump in a river and
Hey,
tie
can-
bricks to my
can
feet.
You got to pick one. Let me hear it.
Trae Young. He has to say
Yeah,
Trae
probably
Young.
Trae Young. Honestly, probably Trae Young.
what's the proof that Trae Young that Darius Garland affects winning more than Trae Young?
He's been on a 64-win team. He's made the play. Trae Young. Has
Well,
been
but
in the
he's got way better talent.
Trae
around him.
Young has been the play in 4 straight years. They haven't been a playoff team.
Right, but wouldn't the Hawks were sellers this past year?
Yeah, I mean,
You took
Partially
away.
be-
Here's the thing, you took away credit from in this argument that G was making on Trae Young. You took away credit because the offense was built around him, and now when I say, so you're downgrading him for being the number one guy.
Yes.
But now when I say, but now you're giving Darius Garland credit for winning even though he's got much better talent around him, he's not asked to do as much.
The Hawks made an all-in trade for DeJounte Murray. They gave up the same package that the Cavs gave up for Donovan Mitchell, and DeJounte Murray hated playing alongside Trae Young so much he requested a trade out in a year.
Okay, two things.
So they went in. They had the same idea. We're going all in right now, and they literally had to sell off all their pieces for
two things. All right. Did they have a player like Evan Mobley, who you guys love so much and I like?
Jalen Jones.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson. Yeah, they do.
Is he as good as Evan Mobley?
He's a wing. He would have been an all-star this
Where's
year.
he on this dopey Bill Simmons rankings?
I could pull it up for you.
Mike's obsessed with Bill Simmons too.
You just brought him up.
Did you see Bill Simmons make a fool of himself in that argument with what's his name from who used to be on who was on ESPN?
Russillo?
No, not Russillo.
Zach Lowe? Jalen Johnson on this top 100 is number 48.
So it's not even close to where Evan Mobley is, in my opinion.
No, they also have Darius Garland 5 spots ahead of Trae Young. So if you want to go off these rankings, they agree with me.
No, I don't care. Okay, fine. Yeah, that's fair. If I'm going to care about that one, I care about that. So
we also have 6 more of these in 5 minutes.
The bottom line is the Cavs have what's his name? DeJounte Murray is no Donovan Mitchell. That's not a fair comparison.
They gave up the same package for him.
Hey, that's so different.
Doesn't mean he's as good. It means the organization's stupid.
You can't say
and do we know is it Trae Young's fault or is it DeJounte Murray's fault it didn't work out? Do we know that?
Considering that everyone who's ever played with Trae Young is left and said, I hated playing with Trae Young, I'm probably going to say it's Trae Young's fault.
All right, fair.
Just my 2 cents. All right, next one.
Do people hate playing with Jamal Murray?
No, because he plays with Jokic, and everyone loves playing with Jokic. So, all right, next one. Sports media personalities. Keep cut trade. Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Nick Wright.
Oh.
Keeping Nick.
I'm keeping Nick.
Trade Stephen A. and cut and skip.
That's easy.
I agree.
That's easy. That's a clean sweep. And you're gonna get the most for Skip Bayless. I mean, you might get a whole building back in return.
Obviously, all three are very successful.
Or Stephen A. But
I'm not a huge fan of Stephen A. I can't stand Skip Bayless. I'm not a huge Stephen A. fan. I respect what he's accomplished. I'm not a big fan. I can't stand Bayless. Is unwatchable. Nick Wright's solid.
Yeah, I do
like Nick Wright.
I like Nick Wright.
Nick's solid.
I like his takes on.
Although his Chiefs bias on a national platform
crazy. Yeah,
it's kind of a little.
It's funny, but
he plays it up.
Right.
You know.
I like his defense of LeBron.
Yeah.
I think he has one of the best defenses to why LeBron James is the GOAT.
I didn't know he was married to a black woman.
Oh yeah.
I think he's mixed race.
Is he?
Isn't he? I thought he was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Man,
I could be wrong. I thought he was. Isn't Nick Wright mixed race?
I'll look that up. Let me get to the next one while you guys are discussing.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. All right, next one is gut-wrenching playoff losses for the Browns.
Oh,
you
my
gotta
God.
keep one, you gotta cut
Why
one,
would
you
you
gotta
bring
trade
this
one.
up?
Why would you
The
do
2002 AFC wildcard loss to the Steelers, the 2021 divisional round loss to the Chiefs, or the 1987 AFC Championship game loss.
I mean, that
to
one's
Denver.
the worst by far.
that's the worst.
I mean, you're too young. I mean, you guys are both kind of too young.
I don't know it. I just know the
I didn't see
history
that
of
game
it.
like 10 times.
Dude, that was the AFC Championship
That's
game.
what I'm saying. I know the history.
Mike, how do you even compare that? That was the AFC. They were gonna go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Nick Wright is not mixed. He's mostly Italian with a little bit of Polish-Jewish descent.
All right, I didn't know
Could have
that.
got a 23 and me on there.
Yeah,
Dang,
43
bro,
me,
he done took a DNA test back there.
So what's worse, losing the couch loss or the loss to the Chiefs?
No, that's the Kelly Holcomb loss. And when they was
Kelly
blowing
Holcomb.
them out,
Yeah.
and they let this dude.
Oh,
run
the
back.
Kelly Holcomb loss.
Yeah, they was blowing them out.
I remember that because I was celebrating.
That-
Playoffs.
The Chiefs lost.
That Chiefs loss.
They got handed an opportunity because Mahomes got hurt.
4th
and
and
12.
14.
No, it was 4th and 12.
Now they're still gonna have to score.
4th and 12. You let a quarterback.
Chad Henne.
Chad Henne, I think retired after the year, didn't he?
Chad Henne.
They were gonna still have to score though.
Yes, but I wanted
That Kelly Holcomb one is
But they were
inexcusable.
that Chiefs loss. They were gifted that
Gifted.
opportunity when Mahomes
Gifted.
got hurt.
Yeah.
You couldn't have told me they weren't going to go down there and score.
Who would they have played? Wait,
They would have went to the AFC Championship
against
game.
who? I can't remember now. Was it
Probably the
Bills?
Buck. Well,
In
no.
21?
Yeah,
I think it was the
It was
Bills.
the Patriots, wasn't it?
No, it was the
No.
Bills.
It was the Bills. When
That's when they had that shootout.
Yeah. Browns would have gotten smoked by the Bills. They would have got smoked by the Bills.
All right, next one. I have 2 good ones for this. I don't know if the third one is the right fit, but this is a keep cut trade of Cleveland what could have beens. Josh Gordon, Daniel Espino,
Nah,
Tim Couch.
not even close.
Cut Espino,
You're really
trade
close.
Couch,
Espino?
and you keep
There's
Josh
like
Gordon.
50 guys you could have put up there.
Josh
Espino.
Gordon.
That's a terrible
I don't
job.
even know
Who would you replace Espino with?
Josh Gordon is definitely to keep. Trade
Guys that
Tim Couch.
they let go. They
Cut
could have.
Espino.
They had a trade on the table for Pedro Martinez in the 90s.
No,
That
he
they-
wasn't here. Had to have been here.
Daniel Espino never played in the majors.
But he was in the organization.
I would have said I could have.
Give me 10 minutes to think about it. I'll give you a bunch of guys.
You could have put Grady Sizemore in there.
Yeah, there's a million guys.
Grady Sizemore was
It still would be the same order I just
he was
said.
supposed to be. He was a 5'2" guy, supposedly good-looking kid.
Matt Laporta.
Yeah, wow, that's what Laporte.
You
They
could
love.
you could put whoever you want. for
Russell
guard.
Brandon,
It's
Jeff
still,
Kent.
It's still gonna be keep Josh Gordon, trade Tim Couch,
Let me-
and cut
but let me-
whoever you
yeah,
want to
that's-
put in
Josh
the middle.
Gordon. Let me tell you this. I'm gonna tell you. First of all, I feel so bad for him that there is recreational marijuana.
Oh,
People
yeah.
are just walking around,
Just blowing.
If you-
Everywhere.
if you
Blowing.
look
It
at the
wasn't
stuff-
just marijuana.
it-
He was a troubled guy.
Yeah,
he was a troubled guy.
He talked about how he couldn't
Yeah.
do that, and then
Yeah.
he got into alcohol.
It
and-
led to other mistakes and
and that's-
whatever.
But the fact that the weed was that what got him, Josh
Stay
Gordon,
off the weed
for 1 year, Josh Gordon was
Best player in football.
almost Randy Moss.
I mean, that
Yeah.
He was almost he was doing whatever he wanted, and it was effortless.
We've looked up
14.
his game log from that season multiple times on the show, and
It's-
every time
it's
we look it up,
stupid.
we get astonished at how good that 4-game
So
stretch was.
let me tell you this. I'll never forget because we would be at Browns training camp every day. And I remember my first 3 years covering the Browns, it was like all their receivers sucked.
Sucked.
They had
It was terrible.
nobody. And when you saw Josh Gordon in training camp for the first time, I was like, holy moly, look at this guy. He was like nothing I had ever seen before. He was fast and he looked like he wasn't running
He
fast.
was just he looked like he was what we called a person. We used to say back in the day. It looked like the football players that looked like they was playing in basketball shorts was elite.
Right. Yeah.
We used to say Julius Peppers got a hoop jersey on. He don't got past. Josh Gordon had the visor, and he was out there in all brown like stealth gear, and he would just catch the ball and politely glide away from you like Bambi.
And he had that amazing season
Bambi.
with
Bambi.
absolute bum quarterbacks.
yeah.
He had that season.
But
Not only
speaking
did
of
he have this
quarterbacks-
miraculous
Bambi.
season, he did it with garbage quarterbacks.
And that's our last one
Terrible.
because we have our guest waiting in the
right.
queue. So let's get our last keep
Talk-
cut trade, then we'll
get
bring
back
in
to
our
baseball,
guest.
yeah.
It is the next
Bumblebee,
generation of
yeah.
elite
Yeah,
NFL
it was.
quarterbacks. Keep cut trade. CJ
Oh, last
Stroud,
one?
Justin Herbert, and Jaden Daniels.
Holy moly.
keeping Jaden Daniels, trading C.J. Stroud, cutting Justin Herbert.
That's tough. I
That's
like all three
tough.
guys.
I love all three guys too, but that's
No,
my order.
no.
I think it's recency bias to
Yep.
keep Jaden Daniels.
Give me C.J. Stroud. I'm gonna get.
The Bucks.
I'm cutting Herbert.
I like
That's it.
Herbert.
That's what
though.
I just said.
Bye.
But you keep,
I'll
I
admit,
did- I just
I'll
told
admit recency bias, but I'm keeping Jaden Daniels. I'm with you. I'm trading Herbert. I'm cutting Stroud, but I love all three of them.
go Bucks.
I think Herbert went from being overrated early in his career to now being underrated.
I think so too.
Didn't they just add
I still
somebody?
think he's really good.
They just added a weapon. Who was
I
it?
can't think of it. We'll have to think about it later.
We got our
Got our
guest.
guest.
So let me do a read. We're going to bring in our guest here to help us preview the Guardians Blue Jays game tonight. After a quick word from Epicor, every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier at Epicor. The All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome in Locked On Blue Jays host Braden Owasco. I hope I pronounced that right. To UCSS. Braden, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, doing really well. Thanks for having me on, guys. This show is unbelievable. I'm a huge fan, so love it.
Oh, we appreciate that, man. We thank you.
And by the way, that hat is fire. I love the hat.
Thank you. It's one of 37 I have.
That's
7.
Mad Hatter.
Are they all Blue Jays hats? or just 37 hats in general?
Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah.
That's funny. I got
Right.
that same problem. I only wear Cleveland Indians or Guardians hats.
Yeah, the Blue Jays. Are you old enough to remember when the Blue Jays? Probably not. You don't look old enough to remember when the Blue Jays first came into the league, right?
No. I don't even remember the back-to-back.
Yeah.
Joe Carter.
Joe Carter. Who was an Indian.
He was an Indian,
He was an
Look
Indian.
at this bro, man.
Joe Carter was awesome.
Man, he was the best thing we
Oh
had.
my God, that guy was such. The Indians actually got him from the Cubs in the Rick Sutcliffe trade, but that's all. Forget it. That's all ancient history. But yeah, the Blue Jays and Mariners came in the same. I think it was 77. Was that the year? I think it was 77.
That's right. Yeah, 77.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and obviously the Blue Jays have had some really good teams in the last bunch of years, and they've just fallen on their face in the playoffs. What is the feeling? And the Blue Jays are kind of in that mid-pack right now with a lot of the American League teams that are kind of mid-tier, decent, not great. What's the feeling about the Blue Jays? I'm curious right now in Toronto.
I mean, it is what it is every single year. It's people get super frustrated or super pumped up about the team, and then it goes the complete opposite way because we never know exactly what they're bringing. So I don't know. Right now, the fan base is in it. The fans seem to think that this team has a chance, and I think that goes to the fact that the AL East or AL in general is pretty bad. So you can get a shot if you load up at the deadline or something like that. I think it's open season right now.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, Ray, we talked about Andre Gimenez, and he was a big part of what what we were trying to do. You don't even want to get into it,
sucks.
bro. Did y'all get fleeced a little bit? Did you get fleeced a little bit on that deal? I don't know, cause we got him up out of here, and it looked like his stick was left in Cleveland for 1 year. What do you thought about him?
No, he's horrible. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Ross Atkins brings him in to be a defensive piece because Ross Atkins loves defense, but then the guy can't hit a baseball to save his life outside of the first 4 games of the year. I don't know. They had him in the 4 hole at one point. If that doesn't tell you where the Blue Jays are at right now, I don't know.
And by the way,
He's
guys,
in the 4 hole?
Yeah, he was. Not anymore.
Yeah.
That was when he hit the 3 home runs the first week of the year and has won since. But you know who else is on the Blue Jays you guys may have forgotten?
Who?
Our old buddy and my punching bag, Miles Straw, who somehow the the Guardians conned into taking his contract.
Shapiro still
For the
there?
Blue Jays, it doesn't really matter because it's not much of a contract and they spend money, unlike the Guardians. But that guy can't play to save his life. Another guy only plays defense.
You know what? I'll take him this year.
He's not been terrible. I hear you.
No. And you know what? It worked out perfectly because Dalton Varsho was out with injury. So getting Miles Straw at that point was a little bit of a savior looking back because I don't know what we would have done otherwise.
That nobody has ever said that before, Braden.
Listen,
I'll tell
you
about Miles Straw because he still can't hit. He's hit all right this year. He hits his singles and he steals a few bases.
How is Bo Bichette doing this year?
Bo Bichette is my bounce back player for the Blue Jays. Everybody was so down and out on this guy, and I said in the offseason,
trading him.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. The trading rumors that goes on with Bo Bichette every single year that he plays a little bit below expectation or because the contract is up. Last year he was injured for like 80% of the year, and people are like, oh, he's horrible. We got to get rid of him. And now he's back to being Bo Bichette. I think he was, last time I checked, 8th in the league in hits. This is a guy that you need on your team. It's just you got to surround him with good pieces. And for the past couple of years, they just haven't done that.
So I know Gimenez can't hit, but another fellow Cleveland baseball player in Toronto is hitting a little bit, and that's Ernie Clement. When I looked at the numbers, making some preview stuff for the series, he's hitting .307 with the .759 OPS, and he's been red hot the last couple of weeks. Where the hell did this come from?
Oh, you know what? We've loved Ernie Clement. He's been our guy. Even when Davis Schneider was having sort of that electric run right at the beginning of his career when he was brought up, we said Ernie Clement's the next guy. Like, watch out for him. He's not going to be this explosive piece or nothing like that, but he's going to come in and do a job for you, and that's exactly what he's done. He's played amazing defense, whether he's at third or second. He's been great. And, yeah, just a bat-to-ball guy. He comes in the lineup and gets hits, and sometimes in big situations. So, yeah, love Ernie Clement.
You know, you say that the Ernie Clement is doing well, Bo Bichette is a bounce back. If the hitting is doing so well, where's the struggle at? Why isn't the Blue Jays just running away with this thing?
Inconsistency. It's been the number one. That's our number one problem. Is the only thing that's consistent is the inconsistency. They go on a stretch of 10 games, and you think, wow, this could be the best offense in the league. Maybe not that far, but they were pretty good. And then they go on another 5-game stretch where they get 3 runs in 6 ball games, and then you're like, oh my god, we might have to blow this team up. So it goes back and forth, and the pitching's been all over the map. Same thing. You get 2 good outings from a guy, then the next 3 are horrible. And then Jeff Hoffman decides to blow back-to-back saves, or, I don't know. And then he's been gross too at some points, but then he just blows up from time to time. So, yeah. Tough.
The Hoffman thing, and, I'm a fantasy baseball nerd, and I got Jeff Hoffman as one of my closers on my fantasy team. And he has had a weird year. He has most of his appearances, it's 1 inning, 2 strikeouts, no base runners. And then he's got 4 or 5 games where he just got absolutely destroyed. So it's been a weird year for him. Their bullpen in general, though, because we got a deep league, 16 teams, 32 players. I got Braden Fisher. I got all these random middle relievers on the Blue Jays. Their bullpen's been good. But the interesting thing is Max Scherzer's coming off the IL to make the start tomorrow. What are your expectations? Because mine are not that high for him right now. It doesn't look like they are for you either.
Hopefully we get 4 innings out of him. I don't know.
Yeah.
The rest of the season, that's honestly, whatever he can give us at this point is fantastic, because going back 3 weeks, we weren't even sure if he was going to pitch again. This could have been his swan song year. So whatever he can give us. The pitching staff is hurting right now. Bowden Francis is out. We're waiting for the return of Alek Manoah. So getting him for any time right now.
Waiting for a long time for that one, Braden. Sorry, but
yeah, you know what? I like Alek Manoah still. I think I've been watching some of his videos from tape and stuff like that, and he looks good, but you never know. He's a guy that he thinks he's the best pitcher of all time, and then he comes in and gives up 7 runs. So who knows what he's going to do?
What are your from an outsider's perspective? What are your thoughts on the Guardians?
I like the Guardians. I think they got a lot of good pieces. It's just putting everything together a little bit. I don't know. I look at the pitching matchups for this series, and it's a little bit terrifying if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan. And this team has a lot of, I think, has a decent offense. They just, again, it's are they going to get it on a day-to-day basis?
Braden, you're out of your mind. They do not have a decent offense. They suck. You're not in the weeds with it like we are.
That's true.
You're not going to convince me into believing this is a decent offense.
We kill for the offense in the names that you got.
Yeah, some of the inconsistencies. I get it, but yeah, man. I mean, listen, Jose and Quan are great, and when they let Manzardo play, he's been pretty solid. The rest of the lineup stinks.
They've scored more than 4 runs once in June.
That's tough.
Yeah, the Guardians just won 4 of 6 against San Francisco and the Athletics, and they didn't. They averaged
4-3 were the amount of runs.
Yeah, and then they scored 1 in the 2 they lost. So I don't know. All right, give us a prediction, Braden, which is impossible in baseball. Who wins the series?
Well, originally I have to go Blue Jays 2 of 3, but I have no idea which game, because again, it all depends on how the Lau show, Eric Lauer, goes out there. He's been great this season, but when's the other shoe going to drop with this guy? And then Max Scherzer. So I don't know. It could be a Guardian sweep here, or it could be a Blue Jays 2 of 3. I'm going one or the other.
All right, man. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us, Braden.
Good deal, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
You can find more of Braden's stuff on the Locked On Blue Jays podcast if you want to hear their side of the recap after they take on the Guardians. And another reminder, tonight's game is on WKYC. Coverage starts at 6:30, first pitch at 6:40. Bo, I'm going to show those clips in a sec, but first, I wanted to ask you a quick question about Josh Naylor. Jim Bowden was on with the guys on the Bowden was on with Jason Lloyd and Ken Carman yesterday, and he mentioned former Guardian Josh Naylor as a potential trade target if the Diamondbacks continue to slide. Can you see any world where there's a Naylor reunion for Cleveland, or is that out of their price range and probably not worth it?
It's not out of their price range. It's just unlikely. First of all, if you're Arizona, you gave up a good, talented arm
to get him.
You're going to want similar value back. And the Guardians are not going to do that, so that won't happen. And as much as I'd like to have Naylor's bat, in reality, they need a shortstop or a second baseman or an outfielder more than they need a first baseman.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make much sense at this point based on the current makeup of the roster. Would I take him? Of course I would, but I don't. It doesn't seem. It's not a realistic match, I don't think, at this point.
Would you take Gimenez back?
No, not interested.
What would it cost to get Naylor? Like, what would it actually cost?
Well, they'd want what they gave up, like not the exact same pitcher, but a similar. Like they gave up a top prospect pitcher, and they'd want a top prospect pitcher.
So you couldn't do Santana and someone else.
What the hell do they want Santana for?
It's a 1-year deal. They need someone to play first base.
That's a baseball
This is not basketball.
So I'm asking. I'm trying to figure it out.
Santana, if you're trading Josh Naylor, first of all, the Diamondbacks' record is about the same as the Guardians, isn't it? They might be a game or two under 500.
I will tell you right now, the Guardians are 39-37. The Diamondbacks are 40-38.
Yeah, so they're the same record. Why would the Guardians be? Why would the Diamondbacks sell? They're not going to sell them.
I meant to.
Can they bring up Chase DeLauder?
No.
They should. I've talked about this a million times.
They're not.
They don't.
We're not gonna do it.
They should bring up DeLauder and Kafis.
They're not going to do it.
They have
Mike,
to bring
the
this man
Guardians
up
are
at
not
some
getting.
point.
Even if the Guardians are somehow able to trade Carlos Santana, they're getting an A-ball prospect who's like the 52nd best prospect in a franchise.
Yeah.
Will they trade Andrew Walters for Josh Naylor?
Why would the Diamondbacks do that?
You asked for a top pitching prospect. He's their top pitching prospect.
He's not a top pitching prize, a relief pitcher.
If relief pitchers not pitchers all of a sudden?
Then he's not a top pitching prospect.
According to MLB.com, he is their top pitching prospect.
Where's he ranked?
Bull.
13th?
11.
Bull. Forget what
No.
Mike is talking about.
Yeah.
What's the thing? Does Chase DeLauder have like a count or like a clock thing? Remember they didn't.
No,
wanna
that clock. Your clock doesn't start till you come to the majors.
So okay, so why was
None of that matters.
What was it last year about Kyle Manzardo where they delayed him coming up?
That's not why. Yes, but that's not why he's not. At this point, those things have all passed
Okay.
in the calendar.
All right. Thank you. That's
So
what I needed
there's
to
no
know.
reason they shouldn't bring him up. There's no reason they shouldn't bring Kafis up. I've been saying Kafis for a month. Everybody's got to be sick of hearing about it.
Hey,
They don't. Every other team in baseball is calling up their top prospects lately.
The reason is, and I wanted to ask you this question is, I just don't think the Guardians, because you're not in a baseball city. This is my theory. I could be wrong, but when you outside of a baseball market, you have a laissez-faire attitude. There's no real external pressure for you to do moves that people aren't paying attention to.
Right, because most of the media members don't know anything about
don't
baseball
know.
here.
They're not going to.
So you're not that's not happening.
There's
It's
not
yeah.
demanding them. Like if you're in, say for you're in St. Louis or you're in New York or you're in LA, like these people in these baseball markets, they know all of the Chicago. They know all of the prospects.
Yeah.
They know all of the names, and they're asking their GMs in front offices like, "Yo, what are we doing here? What's the plan?"
Here it's me, Zach Meisel, Jason, and maybe Jonathan and Nick. Jay's not demanding they call up minor leaguers.
No, he's not going.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
This is Aaron Rodgers last season. Said this is it.
Good riddance.
Okay. Is Toronto a good baseball city?
Yeah, I think so.
I think you should do a 30 or 28 team ranking of the best baseball cities in America.
Interesting, yeah.
Because there's some small market teams that is Milwaukee a good baseball city?
I think it's pretty solid, yeah.
I feel like it is, yeah.
See, like little known things like that.
Are there any bad, like when someone says bad baseball city, does one particular
Florida
come to
Marlins.
mind?
Marlins, Tampa Bay
for every sport.
Tampa Bay Marlins.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
It's San Diego.
No, San Diego's good. That's the only team they got now.
Man, wow, they got him.
All right, Mike, I want to play these clips. You got them?
I got him, yeah.
All right, in the order I sent them to you?
I got Denzel Clark first.
Save that one for last.
That's a banger.
Can we do that one
So
last?
which one do you want first?
All right,
Matthew
first
Boyd?
let's show the Matthew Boyd play.
Steve, will you take tag board full here?
So this is Matthew Boyd. Let me set it up. Matthew
Former
Boyd.
Guardians
Don't play
pitcher?
it yet.
The one that we
Former
should have
Guardians
kept.
pitcher, now pitcher for the Cubs. This was just a wild play that just like them. They've grown up.
I like him.
That's their City Connect or whatever.
It kind of reminds me of the
Cubs.
Blue Jays.
Cubs got the Cubs pinstripes is a
Oh,
classic.
those are nice.
Those are top 10.
Yeah,
that
those are
alive.
good.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, this is I didn't purposely pick it because it's another Cubs play, But watch this play. I think the reason I brought this play is because G. Bush made the point earlier of when you have to get on your horse and get a ball.
Yeah.
So this is Pete Crow Armstrong, who to me is the MVP of the National League right now.
Yeah.
Look how far he has to come to make this catch. Watch this. Look how far he's got to go.
Hey, that man was moving.
Watch the second angle when they show it.
What do you have to do?
Look how far he's got to go, Tyvis.
Hold on, let me see.
They show a second angle here.
Bring that back. Bring that back. He knows. He knows he was on the.
They will, hold on, it's coming.
Here we go.
She's so stupid.
Oh man,
Look where he is.
Hey,
Where he starts.
this
And then
man
he does
was
a spin
already.
and jumps up on his feet.
He already-
Catch probability 5%.
And he got up and was already on the warning track on the opposite field.
Yeah.
This dude was moving.
He hit a home run the next half inning off the scoreboard.
Hey,
All right, now
Greatest
this last one, Denzel Clark, a rookie with the A's. Tyvis has seen it.
It's the greatest play I've ever
This
seen.
is one of the greatest catches I've ever seen. Folks, if you haven't seen this, lock in. This happened like 2 weeks ago.
Oh my goodness.
One of the greatest catches I've ever seen in the history of baseball. Here we go. He can, but he doesn't get on base enough. That's funny.
Is he the new version of Miles Straw, essentially?
No, he's a rookie. I'm not going to throw that on him.
Yeah.
Miles Straw ain't making that catch.
Yeah,
Sorry. I know Miles Straw was a good defender. He ain't that good.
Hey, he don't even have.
And not a lot of guys can make that catch.
He don't even have that type of horse. He don't even have.
Miles Straw's got a show pony.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, time for Super Chats.
We just have one.
Oh.
We just have one. And it comes from Lohi, who says, history says Travis Hunter will ball out, Sanders gets cut, and then balls elsewhere. Dylan ends up bad, and we do just good enough for a low pick in 2026. Just watch.
Hurts my heart.
Just good enough to not get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft.
They come in at number 6. 3 quarterbacks go in the top 5.
Yeah, right.
The Browns don't.
We're going to get Lenore Sellers. Did y'all see the thing about
Can you draft a quarterback named Lenore? You got to know that you
Lenore,
can do it.
Lenore Sellers?
Oh, it's Lenoris?
Yes,
I thought you said it was Lenore.
He from South
I was like,
Carolina.
that's a woman's name.
Did you see the thing where they said that Drew Aller is like Joe Flacco?
I did see that.
I said they really tried to sell this guy to Cleveland. I just he got to show it to
He
me.
seems like such a stiff, that guy.
He got to show it to me. Like I have to see it this year. Like if I just don't see it. Like when I watch.
Is he an athlete?
No.
Who?
Drew Aller.
Is he
Oh.
even Joe Burrow level athletically?
No.
No.
he's not. Look, bro, I don't see nothing
Like,
about
you gotta be,
Bro.
to be a quarterback now, like the days of I'm 6'6" and I can't move, like those days are over.
Bull, you have
gotta
to-
be at least somewhat athletic.
You have to listen. You have to join the crusade on this.
Yeah.
The crusade of
He's just
the
he's from Medina.
Like
ain't
when
he?
people keep telling you
Yeah.
there's going to be better quarterbacks.
I'm sick of that.
I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you? And there are knowledgeable sports people who do this.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I say, guys, how is it that you guys are knowledgeable, and that is almost like sorcery. Like you almost might as well say you believe in like the tooth fairy. Like the fact that you don't know, you say, well, which quarterback do you like? Oh, I don't know.
But somebody's gonna win.
Somebody's going to be better.
And maybe they will. But maybe there turns out to be 1 or 2 quarterbacks this year that end up being great players. But the idea that it's a short thing next year, I don't buy.
And then here's the nail in the coffin. Even if there are 2 quarterbacks that are head and shoulders above everybody, right? We have known through history that if that person is a Peyton Manning, that person is like Andrew Luck, nobody is trading that player to you.
That's right.
No matter how many picks you have.
That's right. Now the Browns may be bad enough to just be there, but
Hey,
you don't know.
Hey, you'll give us Andrew. We tried to do it, remember, when it was Andrew Luck and RG3.
Yeah.
And the Browns picked 3rd. They got jumped by Washington because we couldn't get into the top 2.
Right.
So, but we have 2 first-round picks. Well, would you trade 2 first-round picks for LeBron? No. Because they're not taking it.
You mean would you trade LeBron? You wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't trade LeBron for 1,000 first-round picks.
I wouldn't trade Joe Burrow for 10 first-round picks.
So why do you believe that is your saving grace?
No, it's only going to be if the quarterback is that good that you'd want to trade up for him, now there could be a mix. Then he's not going to feel like the sure thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it turned out RG3 wasn't worth trading up for.
And it turns out that
Trey Lance wasn't worth.
Turns out Andrew Luck wasn't generational, was he?
It's a good question. I think he was.
I think he was too.
But obviously he retired.
But you didn't get
young.
a chance to fully see it because of.
I think he was. Hey, Tyvis, you think Andrew Luck was generational?
Yes.
I agree with you. He took a lot of sacks, a lot of beating.
But it goes to show you there's a very inexact science to all of it.
Of course, it's not a science.
It's.
Gee, not only is it not exact, it's a crapshoot.
Yes.
It's like there's no rhyme or reason to why certain guys succeed versus certain guys don't.
I don't know that I agree with that.
We had a draft, the Trevor Lawrence draft. Trevor Lawrence was considered generational, and he certainly has not been to this point.
At all.
No.
Where they thought 5 quarterbacks were good enough to not just go in the first round, but in the top 15 picks. 5 of them.
Who? You talking about last year or 2 years ago?
No, Trevor Lawrence's year when it was Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones.
That's crazy.
Mac Jones?
Yes.
Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Mac Jones with the pick.
And they all
terrible.
doesn't stink, but he's just
You have
guy.
4 who are not good. I mean, Justin Fields, I guess, can still rewrite it.
I mean,
I'm riding on Justin Fields.
at this point, Lawrence is an average player. Justin Fields is barely startable, if at all, and the other 3 stink.
And that's my point. It is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
There is
And even the
Now,
guys
but
that
when
have the traits.
it is a
you think-
crapshoot, but you say there's no rhyme or reason. For some of those guys, there is. There's things we don't maybe know publicly.
is Mac Jones
They don't work
still with-
hard
Okay,
enough.
that's fair. That's fair.
But yes, for some guys, it's kind of random. Like why?
If you go talk to any of these, this is why I refuse to talk about it.
Mac Jones would be a Cleveland Brown.
If you want to talk about, if you want to say Shedeur Sanders is a 5th-round pick, and you had Zach Wilson go number 2 overall, I'm confused. I don't know what you're looking at. Mac Jones, I don't know what you're looking at. If you
Josh Rosen?
Josh Rosen, at least he
put on.
at least he put some points on up at UCLA.
College, yeah.
He looked the part at least. But Zach Wilson, bro, he went to
never got that
BYU. He was like, I was like, this is the second overall.
Speaking of BYU, G, sorry to cut you off, but a 5-star quarterback just committed to BYU about 20 minutes ago.
Who's that?
Ryder Lyons, which is
What
one
a
of the
name.
best names for a quarterback of all time.
is-
I wanted to mention this real quick before we go to overtime.
Pause. Could we do Ryder Lions pause? Is that a
Ryder-
borderline pause?
That's
up
that's
the
super.
Guardians-
Yeah, super.
And Guardians fans
Yeah.
have now started to revolt against the fact that Chase DeLauder's not up.
Yeah.
On every tweet the Guardians put out, there are hundreds of replies of just Chase DeLauder's headshot.
Why not
Thank
Jay
you.
Cephas,
Thank you.
who's played even better?
At least we get the
good.
underground.
Good. Let's
Get
go.
the tiki torches
There is
out.
the diehard Guardians fans need to speak out. Let's go.
Come on. We need
I
that.
want Cephas and DeLauder both called up today.
Man.
It's been ridiculous already.
Whatever happened to that other guy that was supposed to be a
Jeremiah
higher
Smith
power
is-
hitter?
Jeremiah
George Valera?
Smith
Yeah, what happened to him?
99
He's
overall.
off the radar.
Good.
By the way, 16 years ago today, my wife and I went on our first date.
Oh wow, man!
Where'd you take her?
I took her to an Italian restaurant in Brooklyn called Tuda Pasta, which no longer exists.
Do you want to
But
talk
it's very
about
good.
terrible first dates in overtime? I got a good story.
Terrible first dates that's
A
coming up on
Cleveland
overtime.
first date that went horribly wrong.
Hopefully it's not with your current girlfriend.
It is not with Gabby, no.
We'll
see you guys in overtime.
Does she know
See you
this
in overtime.
story?
Yeah, she does know this story.
All
She
right.
does know this
I
story.
just try to help
We'll
you
see you on
out.
OT.
All right, peace.
I was worried too.